And all of you are too cowardly to debate me, including Destiny, who only ever deal with me on panels, because you know.
Shut the up!
Serve him, you 5 minutes. Congratulations. Congratulations. You've been a victim of retardation.
You do look like someone who's hungry, but that's not me.
Has taken
Wiener? Is that what you want?
Breathe.
We're all gonna die.
Wiener.
You're my champion, okay? Holy big shit.
Everyone.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 9 of Kick or Keep. Today is a special one, ladies and gentlemen. We have 7 great, wonderful, amazing, talented, just the best people competing head-to-head in an elimination-style debate show where you, the audience, gets to decide who we kick and who we keep. The rules of the show are very simple, right? You'll be given a topic. You'll have 25 minutes.
While he's explaining this, I love you, YouTube. I'm switching over to
Once the
Kick,
timer gets
okay?
to 0, a straw poll will be put in Kick chat.
Kick.com/Destiny. Be careful, guys.
The
I love you.
contestant with the highest amount of votes gets to decide who to kick and who to keep between the 2 lowest voted contestants. All right? Remember that. Chat only votes for the person that gets to decide who to kick and who to keep between the 2 lowest voted contestants. At the end of the show, there could only be one winner. That is our champion, ladies and gentlemen. Do you have any questions? Any questions? It's very simple, very straightforward. No questions? Perfect. With all that being said, I'm your host, kick.com/Quarantos, Quarantos. Live right now, joining me is my co-host, a man of great stature. And no, I'm not talking about his build. Kick.com/Destiny. That's it. Let's get into it. Well, okay, let me ask you guys. Would you like to continue the topic that you were just discussing, or would you like to move on to something else?
Let's move. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yes,
okay.
It's a boring topic.
Guys, I'll mute yourself, guys. Unless you're talking to your people, then you keep doing that. Okay. First question. And by the way, Counterpoints might be joining us later on in the round. Just heads up. Okay. Anyways. First question. One of the core values of Western democracy is freedom of speech. Do you feel in the past few years that the West has become much more pro-censorship and is heading down a authoritarian path? You know what? I want to start with Rob.
Actually, with that question, now that they can all reflect on the question while we do introductions.
My God, I forgot it again. This is the second time I forgot introductions. Holy shit. Okay, I had an excuse for OF. Okay, it was a bunch of titties. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay.
Go.
Guys, I woke up 10 minutes ago. Anyways. Why do you... Let's see. I think you realized it like 20 seconds earlier, but you're like, you know, I wanted to ask the question.
Well, yeah, get the question out. This is all planned. You told me before that you were going to read the first question before doing introductions, and I was like, okay, yeah, go for it.
True. Top left. I don't know any of your political positions. I just like right, left. So I'll just be introducing you by your names, okay? Great looking guy. Great beard. A fellow glasses wearing man. Suspicious background. Weirdly suspicious nose. Don't ask me why. We have Fabian Liberty Scott. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, I am Scott from Fabian Liberty. You can find me on Rumble at Fabian Liberty. If you search Fabian Liberty on Twitter, you'll just find a booking account. Like I'm permabanned on Twitter, but you can find me on YouTube as well. Yeah, I'm an anarcho-capitalist. I am the kind of like ideological end boss of libertarianism. Or one, you could say I'm actually a libertarian instead of all of these fake ass libertarians that, you know, I want a limited government. All right, cool. Republican 2.0. Yeah, you can check me out on Rumble, check me out on YouTube. I'm not live right now because it's this kick or keep. And you know, like the good anarchist that I am.
Yeah, wrap it up, buddy. You can wrap it up, but you can shut yourself at the end.
Right. All right, wait. Like the good right-wing anarchist I am, I assume that I will complain about being oppressed and get kicked off soon, and I'll be just like my left-wing buddies and say that it was all the oppressor that came after me. So,
my man, to the right of, apparently it's pronounced Fabian. To the right of Fabian, okay, a man that honestly it's a stereotype at this point with the background, Biden, Harris, Warren. Like, I like Mike Bloomberg. I don't know if that's a meme. We've got, I'm really important. Go ahead and introduce yourself, buddy.
All right, Destiny and Quiznos, thank you guys for inviting me. I'm excited to be here. I am a libtard and talk electoral politics on my channel, so let's get this party started.
Great. To the right of I'm really important. We've got Lycan. Everybody knows this guy. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
I'm a man of few words. I don't need to say much. I'm Lycan. I am, whether you're a leftist or a righty, I'm a dirty liberal, and I am here to talk shit and chew bubblegum, and I'm all out of bubblegum, baby.
There we go. Below Fabian, and to the left of our only black contestant. Guys, I don't make the rules. I just had to meet the quota. We have a 100% not insufferable woman. Beloved by all. Great takes. Absolute zero condescension. Just like I enjoy to be around. You got not so erudite. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi guys, I'm not so erudite. I prepped for this show wrong. I thought it was more of a party show than autistic politics debating, so I took a 1.5 shot. So hopefully it's still fun. And also, Karantos, you're just mad that I outed you for, go.
Okay, there we go. The doctor calls me a go talker. I mean, life goes on. You know what I mean? Below, I'm really important. And guys, I'm not racist. It's a fact. She's a white woman. Below, I'm really important. And to the right of not so erudite, we have my African-American brother from another mother and father and lineage. Might be a good... anyways, we have Prime K's. How are you, buddy? Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, hey. Nice to be here with everyone. My name is Prime Kai. You can find me on Twitch and YouTube. Do panel shows, and we argue with each other. We'll have people like Scott around, or that direction, whatever, and others, and we have a good time. So I don't know. Come find me.
Beautiful. Thank you for the intro. To the right of Prime, Kai, again, K-A-I, but it's apparently C-A-Y-E-S. To the right of Prime, and below Lycan, we have a bear. Again, good-looking guy. In a couple of states in the United States, probably a great-looking guy. You know what I mean? A man that's going to go against a whole... I mean, honestly, it's like... It's going to be a 1v5 type shit, so you better be ready. Rob Noir, go ahead and introduce yourself, buddy.
Thanks. I'm Rob Noir, populist conservative. You can find me on most streaming platforms. Gentlemen, when he says bear, I think he means my appearance and not sexuality. So I'm married. Sorry to disappoint. So.
Nobody even took it there. The fact that you had to think about that is sus to me. But you know what, Rob? Appreciate you for coming on. Below erudite, to the left of Little Steve, and I don't know geometry, diagonal to Prime. We have, again, another not insufferable woman. Great takes. Everybody likes her. You know what I mean? Straighterade, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Straighterade, or Aaron. Q begged me to come on the show because he knows, I'm like to the left or whatever, like I'm a lefty, and I'm really interested in talking about wealth inequality, which I know is an issue that personally affects Q, and Steven too, so very excited to get into it.
Okay, true, real, and true. Ladies and gentlemen, we might have a couple of people joining us. By a couple, I mean 1 or 2 max, later on in the round, so just, heads up. Anyways, let me say the question that I've already said, okay? One of the few, actually, do you remember the question, or do I really have to say it again? I'll say it again.
Could you say it again, please?
I'll say it again. I got you. One of the core values of Western democracy is freedom of speech. Do you feel in the past few years that the West has become much more pro-censorship and is heading down a authoritarian path? I want to start off with Rob. Oh, by the way, before we start off fully, feel free to interject and interrupt each other if you feel like somebody's saying something stupid. Again, this is not a town hall. This is not an actual debate panel where you're like, you know what? I got to wait for my turn. Raise my hand like I'm retarded. Please, feel free to interrupt each other. Anyways, Rob, go ahead and start us off.
Yeah, it's obvious we're getting less freedom of speech, both through institutions such as social media, the mainstream media that gatekeeps so much of our flow of information, but also through the government that we see through the Twitter files and other files that are directing that censorship. And it's being done on behalf of the establishment, people that are in positions of power. Right now, that is benefiting the left. So a bunch of lefties are okay with it, but inevitably it'll be turned on them and they'll be whining and complaining as well.
I guess I am okay. I'm not a free speech absolutist, so I don't pretend to be. I think that for a functioning society, you have to regulate speech like you regulate everything. By how much, that I am willing to debate, but I don't think that everything should go.
Well, I think that that's the mistake people say when they talk about Elon being a free speech absolutist. No one's really a free speech absolutist, particularly if you're trying to make money, right? I think what Elon's talking more about is trying to have people not censored for their political opinions, particularly being pressured by the government to do that censorship. But you're a damn fool if you think, well, I'm a total free speech absolutist and I want people on here shouting the N-word and I'm trying to sell advertising, to Google and to YouTube. It's just not going to happen. So
I'm sorry, real quick. I just, as a host, I gotta interject on that one. That's the only time I'll ever interject. Didn't Elon Musk literally bow to the Turkish government saying they had to censor political opponents for political speech, and that was an example by the government censoring Twitter for the government for suppression of political speech? Sorry, that's my only interjection.
Sure, I'm not here to defend everything Elon did. And I've heard that he did that and said that he thought it was better because at least they could remain in Turkey and still have some sort of truth. As far as I'm concerned, that's a black mark on him giving into that sort of thing. But I think when he was looking at it, he was referring mainly to the United States, where he sees so much of this previous Jack Dorsey regime that was censoring people oftentimes of shit that ended up being politically slanted to benefit the people in power. And oftentimes was true, like so much that we saw over COVID, so much that we saw over things like the Hunter Biden email, that we saw people condemning Russiagate and all sorts of other things. The slant was inevitable. We just saw today, just yesterday, I'll finish with this, all right? Didn't we just see a day or two ago that now we know that Facebook, that the Biden administration was reaching out to Facebook to remove jokes and to remove other things they don't like. So it's not just Twitter, it was occurring in all these social
What
media
joke were they reaching out to get them to remove? Do you have an example?
I think it was, I'll look it up, but I think it had something to do with vaccines or COVID.
So
funny joke.
was it a joke or was it misinformation?
What's the difference? If I think it's funny,
huge
it's a joke.
difference. It doesn't matter.
It was
if
a
it's
meme.
joke.
You're right.
At the end of the day, we're
It's
dealing with
all
a deadly
There's no
pandemic,
difference.
and misinformation is
What's
being spread in the
disinformation?
form of joke.
I wish I
Wait,
had thought of that.
wait. The anti-Semitism leading up to the Holocaust came out in the form of jokes first. What the are you talking about? You don't give a shit. It was still the precursor. It still mattered. So people are making anti-vaccine jokes, but the jokes are to continue to foment the idea the vaccines are bad. Yeah, it's vaccine misinformation, but you are okay with vaccine misinformation because you agree with it.
Who controls
Aren't you left wing? Weren't you guys
no
years
vaccine.
the purveyors of vaccine misinformation?
No,
no,
not by any
no.
stretch.
Oh my God,
Listen,
I'm
Rob,
still on
let him
YouTube.
cook.
I'm begging you all
Please,
to not
go ahead and cook.
talk
We'll make
about
you dessert,
COVID.
buddy. Go ahead. Let's hear your thoughts on that.
No.
Let's
please.
talk
I mean,
about
I'm saying,
how-
like, you say, so hold on, no, I like,
Okay,
well,
here's
I
the
understand
official.
this is-
I'm going to give the
is this
official
on
position
YouTube?
on COVID.
Is this on
Fuck-
YouTube?
No,
Yes, this is
you
on
don't have a-
YouTube.
Well,
This
she's
is
on
on
YouTube.
YouTube.
we're not
Versus
cool
on
Rumble streamers
Okay,
like you.
I'm going to give
okay?
the
We're
only
not cool
official
on Rumble.
position on
We
COVID.
are not on
which is-
YouTube.
Fuck you. I am on YouTube though.
Okay,
so
cool.
please, if
So-
you're going to go
okay,
into
well, then I'll
COVID
make it
crazy
very quick.
land, if you're going to go into cozy crazy land, I need you to warn me so I can
All right,
turn off my
I'll be
YouTube.
all right. Listen. I'll be all right because you're. That's why I'm asking because you're on
I'll
YouTube.
just mute you. It's
It'll be
fine.
very. I'll be
Stop
very.
it.
You don't
Stop
you
it.
then. All right. So
What?
anyways,
You can't mute a fucking contestant, by the way.
I can't
No
have
shot.
COVID misinformation.
I will.
on YouTube.
I have
I'm
one
not-
community
I'm-
strike,
I
No
literally
shot.
and it says
just
a
said- I
Fabian
literally-
Yeah.
for this
Will
not
you
crap.
doing
shut
it.
the? Will you
No shot.
shut the fuck up? All right.
Okay.
I'm not gonna fucking get you. Oh my god! If you're going to mute me, at least stop interrupting me. You fucking weirdos. God. Anyways, so because some people are on YouTube, all right, I will simply say this. If the idea is that we're going to use, hey, that's not a joke, that's actually misinformation, I think there's a certain element of trust that you have with society that the state is able in some regard to be able to accurately determine what is harmful misinformation and what isn't. And COVID, with many things that have now been officially turned back that were considered misinformation before previously that are now no longer considered misinformation, I think you kind of lose the ability to go, well, maybe it's misinformation. And when having a discussion about free speech, and we should all just tell you to fuck off.
Fabian, that's how evidence works. what
No,
used to be
the way-
classified as like misinformation or whatever. If
No,
new
no,
evidence
no, no,
comes
no,
out, people
no,
who
no.
actually
That's
care
not
about
how
that are
evidence
gonna move
works.
their position
That's
over.
not how evidence isn't. The government says if you disagree with us, we don't use evidence. We don't use a scientific process. We
Okay,
don't
I'm turning
use
off YouTube.
No one
discussion or
talks about
debate.
the
And
government.
instead,
They're talking
what we
about
do is we
Facebook and Twitter.
censor you.
Right. So what
Yes,
we saw
these
is
are
we
facts.
constantly hear this trust the science thing, and they've been wrong over and over. Even in real time, they're wrong. For example, we knew that it was most likely that it came from a. They censored that. We knew that it was most.
Hold on,
likely.
you can't
Please
say
please
loudly.
let me finish my
You
point.
literally can't say loudly. It's on YouTube.
Whatever.
Oh, she's turning it off.
They thought they said
All right,
that
well,
natural immunity wasn't superior. It obviously was from the first study that we had. The meme in question, to answer your question, have you ever seen the picture of Leo DiCaprio from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood where he's smoking, like drinking and smoking a cigarette, pointing? Does everyone know what I'm talking about? That meme format.
Yep.
It was that picture, and it said, 10 years from now, you'll be watching TV and hear, did you or a loved one ever take the COVID vaccine? That's it. That's what the government felt is.
So fomenting anti-vaccine sentiment, huh? That seems a little harmful, doesn't it? During a pandemic, as we're dealing with a life-threatening disease that without the vaccine has a higher fertility rate in the hospital and die. Oh, it's crazy.
I'm going to I'm pro-vaccine.
Unironically,
I am
fucking fascist
pro-vaccine.
fucking
However,
bullshit.
hold on,
There
Chef,
we go.
I'm going to try to help you out. I'm pro-vaccine. And misinformation about it, but like the way it was handled, I think it's fair to critique the way it was handled, especially at the beginning, right? I don't think Scott is wrong when he says that there was a list of things of statements or interpretations of the situation that were just banned, and that's different from saying that you need to follow the evidence, right? That's another step when you're saying, well, you can't even talk about it, you can't say it, and then later on it actually turns out to be right. Like we can separate these two things, right? It's not simply evidence.
It doesn't. Two things. One, it shouldn't be up for debate. We're talking about free speech. It's clear that free speech is under attack. You can see people on this panel defending that memes should be taken down, that are innocuous as saying, hey, there's probably going to be ads in 10 years saying if you took the vaccine, you could sue. That probably is true. There probably will. In fact, there's already foreign countries where people are suing vaccine makers for failing to disclose side effects that they knew about. That's lawsuits are occurring elsewhere. I know that Lycan and the people he votes for are trying to make that illegal to protect big pharma in this country. Hopefully that doesn't go through the whole way, though. But secondly, half the time that they say that we need to censor disinformation because it's harmful and shit like that, it is a naked partisan political grab, and they're trying to censor people based on things that they're claiming is true, that they're full of shit. Disinformation to these people merely means shit that we disagree with and think that harms us politically. When I could go through and show over and over how wrong they are, for which I've done many times, and all of you are too cowardly to debate me on vaccine mandates and things like that one-on-one, including Destiny, who only ever deal with me on panels, because you no.
Child debate.
Just every time.
Destiny got destroyed last
Every
time.
time.
This is the Rob Moore tactic. All you have to do is say loudly and longly enough that you're right, and everyone's afraid of you, and suddenly, magically, your worldview makes sense.
Well,
Here's
he's
the reality
destroyed all
about
of us.
COVID.
So
Here's
it
the
was-
Rob
actual
has
opinion
destroyed
to have
everybody
about
on this
COVID.
panel at one
The
point.
actual opinion on COVID is fuck everyone. Everyone reacted really poorly to it. It's fucking annoying to listen to any side talk about it ever because nobody was super scientific. Rob North's side isn't being very scientific, and there's a whole bunch of
What's
people on
my
the very
side?
pro-mask
What's
side
my
that
side
also
is?
weren't being scientific, and it's fucking annoying. Politicians weren't listening to virologists and epidemiologists because to do so basically meant sacrificing their political life. But does that mean that this grand scheme of COVID was made up and nothing is real? No, that's just your paranoid schizo brain talking.
What's my
The
side?
reality is
No,
that
no, no,
it's
no,
way
Eric,
easier
what's my
to
side?
lay the blame at people being dumb fucks and cowards than it is on some like malicious
No.
overtaking.
We get the
No, no,
filibuster.
no, no.
You
No,
said
no, no.
nothing.
No.
Fabian, I'll respond to you. Said my side. First off, can you tell me what's my
I'm the
side?
filibusterer.
Secondly, what we see is one side said we think that people should be able to make up
Rob,
their own
you
mind.
literally just said misinformation is anything that I don't like people disagree with or whatever, but then you won't admit that you just think jokes are literally amount to misinformation, disinformation. You're trying to say, oh, that's all just jokes.
No, I'm saying that that's not disinformation anyways, that the people that control what disinformation is are oftentimes wrong and are nakedly politically. And second, we shouldn't be censoring jokes, period, even if it is disinformation. Can a joke be disinformation? Sure, I could
Rob,
think
you're
that it is
delusional if
wrong,
you think
but I
that
don't
there's
think it's
only
being censored.
left-wing ideologues that are part of these companies, like Twitter and Facebook.
To respond to Erudite real quick, one side said, we just don't want the government forcing shit on people. We don't want them forcing censorship. So maybe they were wrong about shit. I'll give give you that. The other side said, no, we're so certain that we're right. We
This
want
is
people to
such
be
a dishonest representation.
We want people to be censored.
Here's what the actual side said. You had the pro-maskers who were like, we're all gonna die, and if you don't wear a mask, you're evil and ontologically immoral, and we hate you. And the other side said, COVID's not real. The vaccines are plots to like put GPS. I know this because I have family members on both sides. Half of my family thinks I'm going to die because I'm vaccinated, and the other half thinks I'm evil because when I was outdoors, I realized that masking wasn't important because the outdoors masks were pretty ineffective.
Wait, Rob, let me ask Rob a question.
We actually had on both sides.
Please. Let me ask Rob a question. Fuck you, Fabian. Let me ask Rob a question. Shut the fuck up. Fabian, shut the fuck up.
Wait, real quick. Okay, IRI and then Fabian after. Go.
Thank you. Okay. Rob, if I make a funny meme and 100,000 conservatives end up not voting, they vote on Wednesday, do you think that's okay?
I think that, yes, that you should be allowed to do that. I think that someone did go to jail because that occurred. You're aware of that, right, IRI? But when we see leftists...
So you support that guy going to prison for that?
No, I don't. I just said that I wouldn't
support... You think that's okay?
I think you should have the right
disenfranchising voters like that is okay.
Do you think asking a question and then not listening to the answer is okay? Now, I'll finish. No, I think that you should be allowed to make those jokes. And if that disenfranchises voters, that's a shame. But we can't go through life wearing... Let me finish. We can't go through life saying, oh, anytime you make a joke, it could harm someone in some way. Therefore, we need to make jokes illegal.
I'm talking about real results, Rob. Real results. 100,000.
In that particular case, you're talking about, yes, a right-winger went to jail. Left-wingers that made the exact same meme directed towards right-wingers saying, go vote on Wednesday.
You're wrong about that.
You want me to pull it up?
You're wrong about that. You know you're wrong. This guy had a coordinated effort. He had a coordinated effort to disenfranchise people, and they connected like 5,000 people trying to text to vote for Hillary via text because of his jack-off. Nonsense.
So let me clarify.
You know you're full of shit on that, Rob.
Also, wait, one sec, real quick. Just as a quick, whoa, hold on, real quick, as a host intervention. Just as a clarification point, I do believe it is against federal election law to misrepresent where voting happens. It's not just a meme or whatever, but like if you post something online saying, "Hey guys, make sure to remember to vote a week from now," and that you're lying about where the voting place is or the voting time, that is a violation of federal law, and that's why you get in trouble for that. Just an interjection. Go ahead.
Right. So Rob supports breaking the law. Go ahead. Go on, Rob. Go ahead.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
These guys will just literally monologue forever and then get so uppity the moment somebody interrupts them. They call me filibustering. You guys are unbelievable projectors.
It's the only way you can get in.
Anyways, keep going, Rob. I want to hear. Keep cooking.
Oops. So you want me to respond or you want Fabian to talk? My response is this. It is a bullshit law. It goes to what the question was, that there is more authoritarian censorship. And I just want to clarify on your part. You're saying it was okay when Democrats posted a meme to Republicans saying, remember to go out and vote on Wednesday. And the reason that's okay is because, and I'm quoting you, it wasn't a coordinated effort. So it was okay for them to do it.
This guy impersonated ads. People making jokes on Twitter is no big deal. This guy had a coordinated effort and he disenfranchised thousands of people because of that.
So then your original question to me, whether if you post that joke and people don't vote, should that be illegal? You're now backtracking from that because you're admitting Democrats did that. You're just saying the difference was it wasn't. So let me ask you point blank: is it okay to put a meme up in your book, a meme directed towards right wingers that says, "Hey, make sure to get out there and vote on Wednesday"? Is that okay, or should that go to jail?
Not if it disenfranchises a bunch of people. A joke's a joke. That guy had a coordinated effort, and that's what I'm saying. If my joke had proof, that it disenfranchised 100,000 people, it should be taken down as disinformation.
So I just want to be clear. So if I post that meme and no one listens to it, it's not illegal. But if I post that meme and people do listen to it, now me taking the exact same action is now illegal.
That's how laws work. You have to show people were injured.
And to answer your question, Q, yes, you can see why free speech is under attack because of fascists like this. When we do it, it's okay. It's only under certain circumstances. Right. That's exactly what I'm making.
Biden
the moment nuance is introduced, all of a sudden fascism rises.
So,
fascism is actually
now I'm a fascist. Call me a racist too, Rob. Call me a racist now.
I'd like to talk after Scott.
So now we like those guys. We like those guys.
So there's two things I want to say about this conversation so far. I think what we've seen from some of the representatives of the left here, predominantly not so erudite, right, is kind of like a post hoc nut picking, right? Which is now that the left has been proven to be massively
Wait, what kind of nuts?
On the left and the right to try and reframe.
Okay, I didn't know if that was like a sexual gender joke or like a political joke.
No, I feel like you've been in politics long enough, in the debate politics space long enough to know the terminology but instead you're just trying to like distract and like.
No,
make
I
jokes about it.
actually
But anyways,
I didn't know.
for just
Yeah,
a
I didn't
moment.
know which nuts.
So just follow with me. Follow me
Okay.
for a second. All right.
I'll try.
I believe in you. You got this. So
Thanks.
what you're
I think I
seeing
do.
is you're seeing a kind of post hoc rationalization of oh well, everyone was crazy during COVID. And here's the crazy right wingers and here's the crazy left wingers.
Rob just
And
did what
yes,
you described when he described what was misinformation about vaccines as a fucking joke, dude. What are you talking about?
That's not what I said.
not-
I said
that's-
this
that's
was a
not-
joke.
You
Post hoc
literally said that
nitpicking.
people were getting banned off because of a joke, and then what
I'm-
you went on to describe
yes.
was just vaccine misinformation.
Oh,
Are,
okay.
are
so
you just saying? Hold on, Rob, shut up. Shut up.
Hold
Shut up.
on,
shut
Rob.
up.
Let Fabian
Rob,
go.
you've spoken like half the panel. What the are you talking about? Please explain how that's post hoc nutpicking instead of you just saying random words. Like, take your brain out of the fucking microwave and explain how that
Okay,
is post hoc
so-
nutpicking. And that's the same thing that I'm describing.
Ooh.
Not so right. Don't step in for the IQ challenged people here. Let her figure it out.
Damn, bro, chill.
I don't.
We
I don't
don't
know
got
if
anything?
she,
All right, so
I
I'm
don't
gonna
know if she
continue our
knows
path.
that you're
What is
referencing her.
nutpicking? What
We
is
got nothing. We
nutpicking?
got it.
Mad
Gotcha.
over here.
What is
All right, so
nutpicking?
nutpicking is when you take the craziest people with the craziest opinions out of a group, and then you represent them as representative of the group. And this is exactly what
Isn't
Not
that
So
what you
Right
guys do
did.
to trans
Is that
people?
you guys did with trans people? That's your
Uh-oh.
interruption because
Right
I'm
wingers,
fucking
yes.
destroying
You guys do this shit
lefty
all the
fucks.
fucking time. Everything with the anti-gay shit, everything with the anti-trans shit. You guys do this all the time. You find the fucking little
Lefty's
crazies,
losing
and
the
then you're
free
like,
speech.
Why are
this is
you
everyone.
calling that a nutpick instead of a
trans
straw man,
culture
dude?
war. Let me interrupt with trans culture war shit that has nothing to do with the topic because I'm fucking
No, just
crushing you
pretend
retards.
you guys don't do
Listen
this shit
for a
Just
moment.
stop pretending
All
you
right,
guys
just
don't do the same
listen for
shit.
a moment, and I can finish. What has occurred is that we know that the government was actively utilizing resources and connections within social media to do everything they could to silence dissent from right wingers that disagreed with the political policies and the corporate interests of the cathedral. And now that that is
Wow.
just a known thing that we all know, all of a sudden we now look at COVID as like this crazy time where everybody was crazy. So we can all kind of forgive
What is the
that time
cathedral?
where everybody was crazy. But I'll explain that in a second. I'm sure it's
Thank
just
you.
Mitch's Molbug. I'm sure you know
He's
Mitch's
cooking.
Molbug, right? I'm
He's
assuming
cooking.
you've
No,
read Mitch's
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know it.
But
Oh, okay.
please
Well
go
then, damn, you really don't know much about right wing thought. Anyways, so
No, pointless
You're-
to learn
what
about
we're
it.
doing now,
I agree.
what we're doing now is we're rewriting history because there were people like myself, like Rob, and like a ton of other people that were saying, hey, these mandates are bullshit. Hey, mask mandates are bullshit. Hey, the science doesn't show that masks work. Hey, we have genuine concerns about antibody dependent enhancement. I was doing this 2 years. There was tons of people doing it. And we're going to forget the people that were rational, that were saying
Right.
what you're doing is
So-
wrong. So we can nutpick and say, oh, everybody was crazy.
Okay, so
To
let me
get away
maybe
from the
build a
fact
bridge.
that it was destroying free speech.
Let me build a bridge. You're right. There were some rational people on both sides. We're reasonable on both sides. But the reality
I don't think
is
so.
that
I don't like name one rational right winger, please.
Me.
You got the
I've
two
never met
representatives
one.
that you have here are literally defending COVID
I've never
misinformation.
met one.
What's misinformation that I've defended? Go ahead.
there's
You
okay, first of
literally
all,
characterized the
Oh,
joke that was
hold on.
being banned or whatever. One, you lied about that. It wasn't just a fucking joke. Two, you
Yes.
said it was a joke and it
Liar.
was about vaccine
It is not a lie.
misinformation.
That, it is a joke. It's a
Can
meme.
make
No,
sure-
we're gonna go down this whole route about like examining
Pinocchio.
Just
It's
respond
gonna take us
anyways,
forever.
right? Like, so I'm going to respond to this. It
Oh,
is not
please, come on.
disinformation.
I
So
don't
you're
wanna do
telling
this.
me you know for a fact that 10 years from now there won't be commercials that say if you took the vaccine, that's misinformation. That's what you're saying. There will be no side effects to the vaccine whatsoever.
So, Rob, you're telling me that
Rob,
30 years
Rob,
from now, we
Rob,
won't
what is
have
the-
history books
Okay,
that say
Rob,
the right
what is the
wingers
point
led
of
by
this?
Trump
Hold
What
on,
is the
turned
point?
America into a fascist
hold on.
utopia.
Okay, if I could just
I could say the
respond-
same shit.
I can just respond to
Real
Aaron.
quick,
I can
real
just
quick.
respond to Aaron. If I
One
could
at
just respond to Aaron.
Stop. One at a time. One
Real-
at a time.
super quick. I promise. Rob, I love you, but pretty much guaranteed that won't happen because we'd have to change the laws on like the vaccine injury compensation
No, no,
fund.
no, you
Okay,
did
program.
it. Hold on.
It's
No, you
not-
did
it's
it.
not
Okay,
gonna
I
happen.
got this.
Okay.
Okay.
So just to
In
be
response
fair, it
to
probably
Aaron-
is
In
misinformation.
response to
I just don't
Aaron,
give a fuck.
In response to Aaron, I think that the the brain rot that happens on the left about conservatives is like one of not the only thing. Conservatives do lots of stupid shit too, but on the left specifically, the brain rot about conservatives is leading to like the further political schism. as somebody who lives in a very conservative state, I know tons of conservatives who are very reasonable about it. They're like, I'm a little bit hesitant about the vaccine, but I'm super, super willing to isolate. They didn't think COVID was not real. They were just like, I don't know how I feel about like a brand new vaccine that's been pushed along, and I can isolate really safely. So I'm going to opt to do that. I have tons of friends and family. Now, I'm not saying that they're a representation of like all of the average American. I mean, you might even say maybe Canadians are based. I don't actually think that that's true. But the issue is like, yes, we do have people here talking about like COVID misinformation, like Rob and stuff, but like,
no
come on.
answer.
Look,
No
you
response
and I-
of what I've said
you
that's
and I-
misinformation. None.
You
Big
and
liar.
you and I would
Big
both
liar.
agree that Rob Noor, for example, and most streamers are not like super good representations of like. the
Okay, but
average
Kyla, what you had to name was like people that you
Especially
know
Rob,
personally
yes.
and like right wingers in Canada and stuff like that. Like, name one reasonable like public right wing figure, either in Canadian politics or the United States, who isn't defending something like vaccine, like, you know, denying COVID, the big lie, Trump's misinformation, like all of that shit. Because you're talking, that's like literally the average conservative at this
So
point.
I'll respond to this. So
No,
first off,
no. I don't want to. I don't know.
Wait,
No,
wait,
I'm
wait,
gonna jump in. I want to jump in.
Wait, hold on,
As soon as-
wait.
relax.
Hey, when the host talks, chill, or you're getting muted for a whole minute, okay? When I talk, chill, okay? Listen, you guys can be as mean as you want. Just give each other turns. Stop interrupting each other, okay? Erudite, shut the f up. We're at the end of the round. Don't say anything. It's time to vote to keep, not kick, okay? I'm putting the poll in chat. Boom, boom, boom. And now, Erudite, go ahead and say what you want to say. Knock yourself out. But the poll will be in
The
chat. We are
reason-
voting to keep, not kick. Good luck, guys. This is round one.
Yeah, the reason I was referencing anecdotally people around me is because we were making general statements about populists. So yeah, I'm not going to use streamers as a yes.
So,
So-
Well, not
so
streamers. I just mean like
I'm gonna
literally
say,
any
hey, no,
visible
you talked the
conservative.
entire time. You
Never
talked.
got
Okay.
to
So like, I wanted to, yeah, you literally talked the entire time. Come on. So, anyways, let me get this out. Yeah, I think that. I think it would have been better if we had talked about this in more an abstract manner, because talking specifically about COVID brings up all these like emotions, and I really want to get at the heart of this question. I think that like if you're going to have a public square, right? And oftentimes when we talk about the public square, we're talking about Twitter at this point. But still, if you have a public square, you got to have rules. Like you can't say that a public square you can do anything in terms of speech. Anything obviously cannot work. Like even if there's like no monetary exchange happening, right? Like all that does is drive people out. We want to have a public square where the most people can come into it, right? Like and I can't run Elon's company for him. Fair enough, right? But in general, in principle, when we're talking about a public square, we can't have people yelling like racism into other people's face and like making it so impossible for them to interact with others, right? Or bigotry or anything.
So,
It makes it.
so I would say,
And what you do
I
is
would
you
say-
allow very institutions that you've called systemically racist for a long time to be the arbiters of who's allowed to speak.
No,
Secondly,
no,
I'd
no.
like to-
I didn't say that. Hold on.
So-
I didn't say that.
so-
No,
okay,
I didn't. Don't put those
that's-
words in my mouth because I didn't say.
censor people.
Hold on. If we're talking about
Wait a second. Speaking of censorship, Prime, Kai's, and Fabian are up for censorship to be decided by the round's winner, Not So Erudite. Fabian and Prime Kai's are the two at the bottom. Not So Erudite, you are in charge of depriving one of these members for the rest of their time on the panel and 100 gifted subs. You're about to axe somebody's career, chop it off at the neck, tear it out
Right.
root and stem.
Okay. You know, I would love to see an argument from both of you as to why you should stay. I hate picking.
Oh, you want us to actually have an argument?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. I am on the far left. However, I think as I displayed already, is that I can see arguments from both sides, right? And I don't mind undermining my own side. So even though we are at a dearth of right wingers here, I can still like provide those arguments because I can have heterodox opinions. So leave it there.
I mean, fair enough. I'm the only libertarian here, and probably the only one that would talk philosophy, and that is why you should probably kick me, because the moment I start talking philosophy, all of these DGG orbiter people are going to lose
Okay,
their
I'm kicking
minds
you. You're gone.
because my high IQ takes will
Nah,
just
I
fucking
can't handle the
destroy
high
them.
IQ philosophy. We gotta kick it.
I get it. I get it. I get it.
Yeah, yeah,
All right, I love you.
Fabian, shout yourself out. Where can people find you? Not on Twitter, but where else can they find you?
I mean, if you want to support, me on Twitter, my booker, you can find Fabian Liberty on Twitter. Make it easier for me to get interviews. Check us out on YouTube or Rumble, Fabian Liberty, both places. And, in the next couple days, we'll be playing the living fuck out of Baldur's Gate 3, grabbing all the snacks tonight so that I can be playing Dark Urge. So if you want to see a bunch of sociopathic, murderous bullshit and libertarian politics, come check us out on Rumble. I'll see you all guys around. I will.
There we go.
Buddy.
Good luck, buddy.
Appreciate you
Bye,
for coming
Fabian.
on.
Love you.
Of course.
Okay,
So
let's see. Before we even move on to the next round, do you guys know that this episode of Kick or Keep is sponsored? Yes, actually true. It is sponsored. Let's see. Did you set up the commands and stuff?
No, did you give me those to set up?
Yes, I gave you everything. Also, gave you a bunch of overlays. Also, gave you a fucking intro. You didn't set up anything. Literally nothing. You fucking useless. You know what? I'm not gonna do what you did to me. You know what? You might have been busy. I'm a very considerate person, but you gotta make me look bad to the sponsor people. I told them, yo, listen, don't get 100 people. Now we're getting 0. They hit me up like 2 days ago because they thought the show was Monday 6 p.m. They're like, yo, how did it go? We see nothing on our end. I'm like, no, I promise it's gonna be better on fucking Wednesday. Making me look bad. So how about you set it up right now, and then maybe at the end of next round I can shout it out again, okay? Could you do that, Lil Steve?
I'm
It's
working on
literally
it,
a
okay?
command.
Don't worry, I'm working on it. You just want this link in chat? Where is this up? Oh my god. How are you gonna post this shit and then post a bunch of other messages at me? Shout
I
him out.
posted a billion things. Cause
Yeah.
what?
Should have pinned it. You gotta pin those things.
Jesus.
If you're not gonna reply to one of them, I'm just gonna reply to the second. I'll put the
just-
second and third. The fuck?
Alright, the show.gg link?
Yes. Yes, this is the one I sent.
Talk about it. Sell it.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I know there's a lot of obese in chat. I actually do know that for a fact, since you guys watch Lil Steve 24/7. The guy's live like 12 hours a day. So do yourself a favor. You know what I mean? Go ahead and sign up to HelloFresh and get yourself a 50% discount on your first meal. Do me that favor, okay? Do me that favor. Go ahead and sign up with the link in chat. And use the code. Give me 2 seconds while I pull up the fucking code. Okay, use code. I'm about to say it, just like, I'm almost there. Keep going, keep stroking. Use code SHOWGG7111. SHOWGG7111. And get yourself a 50% discount on your first meal. Thank you very much. Anyways, we're moving on to. By the way, also
Did you
use
guys get to
the
pick the
overlay.
code? Is that the code that you picked?
I wasn't picky. I didn't want to say use code Carantos or else we would
Use
have
code
no
weekly,
conversion. Nah, who gives a shit? Okay, 50% is 50%. What, your delicate fingers doesn't want to type the company's name? Who gives a shit? Anyways, before I ask this next question, I need to test the waters. Is anybody in this panel or on this panel a free speech absolutist?
No.
Anybody?
I'd be close,
None of
but no, I'm not.
It doesn't exist, no.
Okay, interesting. Lil Steve, are you a free speech absolutist?
Yes, even for child.
No, man. Of course you are. Okay. Let me ask you this. Do you think that platforms such as Facebook and Twitter should be treated as publishers and not as platforms due to their control over what gets allowed on their platforms and what gets traction through their algorithms? Let me start with Prime. You didn't speak much last time. Go ahead.
So I think that they should be treated as platforms. That they can't possibly like screen everything that comes through. Yeah, they should be treated as platforms.
I would agree with that if it wasn't for the fact, two things. One, that it is basically a monopoly when you take them in totality, like the top 4 ones. And second, that they influence so much of our public discourse, particularly surrounding culture and politics. Professor Robert Epstein, for example, testified Google's algorithm alone would be able to manipulate 16 million votes per national presidential election. When we see our government giving carrots and sticks to these platforms in order to punish people that they see as political dissidents, even censoring actual correct free speech, then you could see the problem. And so they should have section, what is it, 230 removed, and they should be treated as publishers if they're going to selectively enforce these policies to allow people that they favor to do the exact same things against TOS that the people they don't favor they punish for. Then they should lose their special privilege and should be treated like everyone else.
Would you be in favor maybe of modifying 230 for that? Like if there is like clear bias that's found, like by a court of law, clear bias found in your operations, then you remove the platform status.
Well, that's basically what I'm saying. I'm saying because, and the real problem is
repeal it. So I was just asking if you
well, I would repeal it totally. I think that Twitter, for example, or Facebook or YouTube should be able to put whatever the fuck they want on, as long as it doesn't break any heinous laws like, you know, child exploitation, stuff like that. But other than that, they should be allowed, if they don't want me on here, absolutely, they should have the right to kick. The problem is once the government got involved and once the government was offering incentives and offering, threatening and things like that to force the removal of political discourse, it became a problem. And even beyond that purely libertarian perspective like Fabian would have, we have to answer for the fact that this public square of like Google's algorithm and YouTube and Twitch and Instagram and Facebook controls so much of our discourse. If we have a problem with money in politics, are we really okay with basically whoever controls Google's algorithm controlling elections for perpetuity? I think that it's a problem that needs dealt with.
And every government is going to, unfortunately, like interfere with these companies, right? Like whether it's one of the liberal democracies or like straight up authoritarian, like they always make ask of these tech companies. So, like, should we hold it against a tech company for complying with a government mandate?
Well, I think that if they want to come out as whistleblowers to people in the government that are challenging whether or not the government in our country, for example, is violating our First Amendment by forcing the pressuring of removing free speech, then maybe they should be given some sort of, credence to go along to not be as punished as much. But if they're not, if they're willing to go along with the government and cover up for the government and purposely try to influence elections, then I think, for example, you could do things like
Well, what proof do you have of these allegations? This is some fantasy talk of influencing elections and such. What are you talking about?
Did you read the Twitter files or the recent Facebook drop?
I did read 2.5 of the Twitter files. It was horrifically boring and led to nothing.
Right. It led to nothing because the same corrupt government that was asking them to censor people they don't like decided not to punish themselves. Right. But what the Twitter files definitively showed was that there was an effort pushed to censor information.
Can we not do a Twitter files panel, please? Please, can we not fucking do this?
Boy, you add so much to this. You're doing a great job.
Just do something. Don't let this be a Twitter files
Keep
panel.
going, Grove. I like this.
Anyways, what we could see is what this showed was that the government, through all sorts of institutions such as CISA, such as the FBI's Foreign Influence Task Force, and other institutions, were reaching out to social media companies saying to censor certain stories, whether it be Ukraine stories, whether it be COVID stories, whether it be stories critical of Joe or Hunter Biden. For example,
were they saying censor or suggesting, hey, I think this might be against your terms of service?
Both. So with the
really? I remember the Trump administration reaching out about some joke about calling him a pussy ass bitch, asking for that to be taken down. Is that what you're talking about?
No, that's not what I was talking about. What you can do is
my bad.
Let me clarify. This is what the left always does. They choose to ignore the overwhelming evidence of this corruption that benefits their side, and they say, "But one thing happened once on the other side." Yes, the fact that Trump would have reached out, and you have one instance that you could supposedly prove that he asked for a joke to be taken down is fucking bad. He should be excoriated. That didn't influence elections, such as the censoring of the Hunter Biden story. It didn't influence our policies, such as the censoring of the COVID lab leak story or natural immunity or school lockdowns and things like that.
You mean the New York Post story that was prevented from being shared for 24 hours, 3 weeks before the election? That somehow influenced the election? That's what you're talking about? I just want to make sure. Okay, so 3 weeks before the election for 24 hours, sharing a New York Post story that got way more attention once it got censored. Okay, I just want to make sure.
Well, I'll answer your smug bullshit if you like. It's no wonder you stay in your own bubble, IRA. Very, very astute. What it does is it puts to a bunch of independents that we're going to be looking at. First, they used to call this an October surprise when you release a scandal right before before the election. So the fact you're saying 3 weeks before the election, right, that's a big fucking deal. Second, what it did was not only did they censor it, but it was also shadow banned. It was also purposely devalued and things like that in Facebook, Instagram, other places. So less people were seeing it. And those independents and people that are maybe center left that would have been worried about this story now thought, oh, well, the fact that 51 former Intel officials and these social media platforms
from the Trump administration as well.
It's bullshit, which it wasn't.
From the
They
Trump
knew it was
administration.
true.
So, Rob, let me ask you point blank: would Trump have won if Twitter did not censor the New York Post story? Yes or no?
There's a solid chance. So Rasmussen reported that 30% of Democrats said that had they known that story had been accurate, they may have voted. How many votes?
Wow.
Wait,
This is
you seem
stellar
very
analysis.
Right, you seem really confident. How many votes decided the election? Go ahead.
Rob,
hold on,
what you just said, man.
He's very confident here.
He was so close to that 50-state landslide. He was just right there. And then the fucking New York Post article came out and it was like, damn.
How many votes decided the election? 44,000 votes in 3 states, right? If they would went the other way. In fact, that was in the indictment of Trump that was released today, right? 44,000 votes. That's in you agree with that, right?
Yeah, Rob, I can agree with you here. I can see your point at the very least, right? I don't know what effect it would have had, but we can say that there was like the Hillary Clinton email story, right, that happened before the election, and where she lost to Trump, not Trump, not that one. The other election.
She did lose to Trump. That was 2016. That's what you're talking about.
You're probably thinking about the Comey, the thing that the announcement that Comey made. About the emails or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah. So that email that had an effect, right? It was an innocuous story. Just like I think the Hunter Biden's an innocuous story.
It was an accurate story.
In any case, but like voters can be easily swayed, especially of how you frame it. So like to say that within 43,000 votes in like 3 states that might have swayed the election. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. That's not like entirely
impossible. I would never let the Hillary Clinton campaign off that easily. If that were the only thing that sunk her campaign, then we would Democrats would never lose another fucking election. There's tons of reasons why Hillary Clinton ended up losing that election. And it's the same thing for Trump. It's the same thing for Trump, okay? That like the New York Post article could have circulated all over Twitter, and I really don't think that he would have fucking won. I could be wrong.
Could be true. I don't know. What I'm telling you is that polling seems to suggest that as many as 30% of Democrats would have considered changing their vote. And when you only needed about 20,000 to change their vote, then that could have been enough. But it's not just that in a vacuum. Again, Professor Robert,
how can you say that with a straight face? How can you say that with a straight face?
Or the 2016
30%.
That's what the polling said.
30%.
That's what the polling said.
I just want to land us a little bit because I feel like we're doing some fast and loose stuff. So when you're talking about how Trump could have won the election with a certain number of votes, are you talking about the 2020 election?
Yes.
Or the 2016?
2020.
He's talking about a New York Post article not being able to be shared on Twitter for 24 hours, 3 weeks before the election. 30% more of Democrats would have voted for Biden.
Yeah, he's saying the difference between Trump winning and losing is that this article being
let me say what I'm saying since you're incapable of articulating what I'm saying.
Wait, no, that's exactly what you're saying. I didn't need them to recap me, and that's also what you're saying.
Allow me to say, because I think you're mishearing me, if I'm being charitable. What I'm saying is that polling suggested 30% of Democrats, or maybe it was 30% of people that voted for Biden, but basically the same thing, would have considered changing their vote had they believed the New York Post story to have been accurate. And they didn't believe it, not just because they didn't see it, but because 51 former intel agents lied to put their thumb on the scale. And
including Trump administration officials on that list, right?
Trump chose poorly. Yep, absolutely.
Trump chose poorly.
Republicans like you and like Marjorie Taylor Greene are convinced that if enough Americans see Hunter Biden's they're actually going to start supporting Trump and turning against Biden. It's not fucking happening, dude. That is not why people hate Trump.
You do look like someone who's hungry, but that's not me. What I'm talking about is the stories such as the influence trading that Joe Biden's doing, right? And the fact that Hunter Biden is working with foreigners such as Burisma and people in China. There's absolutely proof of it. You're saying
proof connecting Joe. You know it.
What do you mean there's no proof?
We don't have to prove.
Of course there is.
We don't have to,
no proof.
to prove that it's So our friend Rob doesn't have to prove that this is a reasonable thing, right? That it's simply that it would have had an effect, right?
This poll is stupid. Okay, it's only people who were actually following the Hunter Biden case that feels like this would have changed things. Which means only people really clued in were even polled. And if you think that that represents a large enough voting block that would have completely shifted the elections, I don't care if 4 out of 5 autists who were really invested in the Hunter Biden thing actually think that that would have changed elections. That doesn't actually mean that that case would have changed the election at all, right? You're basically doing the weakest self-report possible to make serious predictive claims about the outcome of an election.
So
Am I getting you correct?
I liked your attempt at a joke.
so,
You were dyslexic. You wrote it backwards because your camera's flipped. Second, so flip it and it'll be funnier. Secondly, right, it's two things.
Oh,
it's not
right side
just
for
the
me.
Hunter Biden
Weird.
story in a bubble. It's all of the influence of the algorithm being pro-Biden and being anti-Trump. Again, Professor Robert Epstein talked
Hold on.
about
This is different. This is different, Rob. Now
Any
you're
relation to
spending your
Jeffrey
day-
Epstein?
Hold on. You can't just get
I
that.
noticed you didn't mention that when I
Right.
mentioned it previously.
Of course I didn't mention that because
Right,
you
because you have
bringing it up.
noticed it.
Hold
Right.
on, Rob. You gotta
Are you
stop.
an
You gotta let
Epstein
me talk.
supporter,
You gotta let
Rob?
me
Is that what
breathe.
you're saying? Just want to
No,
make
I'm
sure.
not.
The reason that I didn't
Interesting.
mention other things like algorithm bias is because you were staking all of this on this poll. And once you've now realized, once I outlined that the poll is basically selection bias and it doesn't mean that much, now you're extending your argument to include other things. Because as long as there's enough trail of crumbs, your narrative will work no matter
Kyla,
what.
what you're fucking up is you're thinking that Rob is basing any of his opinions off evidence. Like, that poll could literally have said anything and he would have fucking, like, used it to support his argument. He doesn't give a fuck.
Now she's crushing it again. Anyways, the reason that I bring up is the other stuff, right? The fact that the Professor Epstein stuff is because you're straw manning, saying that I'm saying it was only this one thing. I said that the polling suggests that this could have potentially been enough, but there's much other greater things that occurred as well. And what you cite as the problem with the poll isn't going to help because the entire argument is, well, it was censored, so not that many people would have seen it, but the people that did see it thought that it wasn't true. 30% of them thought it wasn't true because it was censored. Now,
Okay.
you don't have any
Hold
evidence
on,
of only
Rob.
20,000
This
people
polling
needed
is
to
even
switch the
bigger
I will
afterwards.
catch you up.
significant
I will
impact.
catch you up. I will catch you up. First of all, lots of people saw the Hunter Biden laptop thing. As somebody who
Yes.
talks to lots of normies, people knew about it. The
How
reason
many?
that I'm saying
What percentage? If you had to
I
guess,
don't know. I don't have a fucking poll.
listen. It's important. I'm not asking for an exact.
Hold on.
30% of
I'm
people
not
would
doing.
How could it
I'm
possibly
not
know?
That's
doing.
what I thought.
I'm not doing your weird autistic being like, well, I found this one stat that said this one thing, so therefore fact. What I'm saying is that lots of people knew about the Hunter Biden situation. The problem with the poll that you are citing here specifically is there was a high level of selection bias, and it's a self-report. It's people who knew about the story, were following politics closely, said that they felt like it would have changed the election swing. I don't give a
Okay.
what some random people following the story feels about the election. The
Well,
idea
and
that
hold
the
on a
Hunter
second,
Biden
Rob.
story alone
Rob,
the
let me
election is
And
just
answer both
silly.
at the same
Let me
time.
help
It's
you,
fine.
Rob.
Mhm.
Rob, listen, we heard enough about your Jeffrey Epstein poll, okay? And more people heard about the Hunter Biden laptop story because of the censorship. So it totally discounts that argument.
Okay, well then you're contradicting each other, and Erudite's contradicting herself. Because on one hand, she's saying, well, even though the poll said what Rob said it did, there's selection bias because it's a small number of people they were talking about, only the people aware of the story. Then she says, but
No,
all
no.
sorts of people knew
Hold on.
about the story. All sorts. That's why I say, Erudite, can you give me a kind of just your thoughts of how many people are?
Yeah,
because if
sure,
80 people
sure,
heard about this,
Sure.
and
I'll
this is
explain
selection
to you.
bias,
I'll
right,
explain
you
to this. Yeah,
can
I
know
can.
how you're not contradicting yourself. Go ahead.
Okay, so the reason I'm not contradicting myself is because just because normies know about the style, it doesn't mean that about the situation with Hunter Biden doesn't mean that these normies are so invested that they're following it closely and participating in selective research about polling, right? So we have a large group of people who broadly saw the Hunter Biden story, right?
Mhm.
Probably not in detail. And then we have a very small selected bias group that was polled on the study that you're citing. And the reason why this small sample doesn't represent the general populace is because of the selection bias present in the sample itself. That's what I'm saying. So yeah,
polls have
both
some-
of these things are
polls have
co-occurring.
some sort of selection bias. The selection bias that you focused on was people that heard about the story. You then proceed to talk about how many people heard about the story. In fact, I'm Really Important said even more people heard about the story. The problem wasn't just that it was censored. The problem is that the censorship itself, in tangent with the former Intel officials and with the current Intel officials that were suggesting to social media to pull this, gave the impression to normies, as you call them, that this was a bullshit story when it was 100% accurate.
Can we talk
Rob,
about
like,
something else other
Rob,
than
the
not
issue,
accurate.
no, Rob, the issue
not
is
accurate.
that this is all in the defense of Trump, who literally wanted to see NFL players fired for kneeling. This is your, like, pro-free speech guy?
That's bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, you say, but this is the guy that you say is like you want him to get reelected.
What he's going to do is just not defend Trump. All he's going to do is not defend Trump on that one. That's what he's going to do. So I'm just like, why don't we try to expand this conversation so we don't like laser into
it's
this
not
one
Prime. It's not just about him not defending Trump on that one. Is that he literally all of this started with us complaining about like free speech and stuff like that. Rob specifically trying to paint the left as the one that's actually anti-free speech when all of his defense has been for Trump, who is arguably one of the least free speech presidents of all time.
So how much shit did he get pulled off the internet that was critical of him? Go ahead.
I don't know. The thing that I'm drawing attention to is the fact that it's disgusting that he's trying to get NFL players who have a constitutional right to protest and kneel fired. That is literally a president trying to interfere with that.
I agree. Do you think it's also disgusting that the FBI was reaching out trying to suggest that the Hunter Biden laptop story, COVID stories, Ukraine story should be censored?
I don't even know what conspiracy holding you fucking down, Rob. Sorry.
No, that's the point. Anything that's Orange Man bad. And
I don't know, and that no other voter or normie knows or gives a about this story. It is literally only conservatives who care about the Twitter files.
When you're
which is why I'm trying to change the
logical side controls the flows of information because the FBI is pressuring these social media, then you could just say, I'm blissfully
Rob.
only conspiracy theories.
You mean Trump's FBI?
All the time.
You mean the FBI under Trump, right? That's what you're talking about?
The FBI under Trump was also corrupt. In fact, they were biased.
Oh, okay. Just got to make sure.
All right, hold on.
Like I said, he's just going to
under the Trump administration.
I'm gonna try something. I'm gonna try something. Hold on.
Give a plot against Trump by his own FBI.
Did you read the IG report, IRI?
Look, Prime, I kept you around, motherfucker. You better bring the heat, okay? I thought I kept a rabid leftist, and I was expecting at least 3 of us to be called racist by the end of this section. And I have nothing.
Now, did you read? I said nothing about being rabid. I specifically I'm heterodox. That's what I've been doing.
Did you read the IG report?
I wanted to let's not like.
That's what I thought.
Okay, sorry. Let's not hyper focus on this one particular issue. Let's try to expand it.
Like what happened last time.
Hold on. Rob, I'm not against you here. I promise you. I'm not being like your enemy.
I need an ally, trust me.
Rob, shut the up. Thank you. So I was just asking, let's try to shift the conversation. We're still talking about this one thing though, right? Like should Twitch be a publisher and not a platform? Like lots of right wingers have complained about Twitch's behavior and who gets banned, right? Lots of people have been thrown off the platform, and a lot of left wingers who have said a lot of crazy shit are still around, right? So should that make them lose their status as a platform? Should it now be a publisher when they're making these editorialized decisions? Can we talk about that?
I answered this already, but I'll be brief, which is very difficult for me. I think that if they are going to selectively force TOS for their political preferences, then they should lose their status as a platform and be treated as a publisher. Now, I want to go back to IRI really quick.
Other people, though, but other people can add things too.
So I want to go back to IRI. He seemed to mock the fact that Trump's FBI could be biased against him. If you would have read the IG report, which you clearly didn't, it mentions that there was clear bias from all of the top people for almost all the top people in the FBI. The question was whether or not that bias influenced their decisions. Do you disagree that's what it said?
I don't remember the exact conclusions, but Horowitz did a thorough job. And I just want to remind you that Trump handpicked Christopher Wray to replace James Comey. After he handed him the election, it wasn't good enough to win the election. He decided he needed to replace James Comey and put someone who would be more loyal to him. But I guess his loyal FBI director backstabbed him, huh, Rob? Makes total sense. This is the fantasy world you live in. It's so dark, man. How do you even exist in there? Rob.
I'll answer, right? One, yes, Trump chose poorly. It's one of the worst things about him, and it's probably a reason to question whether
why would you vote for him again?
You would vote for him in the primary.
Guy's an idiot.
If you would shut up, yeah, that would be a serious criticism. Second, your story about Comey handing the election, you just criticized me for saying that possibly the Hunter Biden story influenced the election. Now you're saying literally handed the election to Trump because of Comey. If you read the IG report again, here's what happened. Are you ready? Comey had to announce the investigation was reopened because they were intentionally sitting on information that there was a laptop from Anthony Weiner that had emails of Hillary Clinton and other people on it that he wasn't supposed to have. A whistleblower blew the whistle because Comey's FBI was trying to hide that evidence until after the election. Once the whistleblower went to the Southern District of New York, Comey was like,
check your bingo cards.
Am I wrong about any of this?
You are just throwing all the buzzwords in there. Hillary Clinton swallowed an email server whole like a snake eating an egg, right, Rob?
This is the left in a nutshell. You outline actual things from official government documents that I could prove, I could point to them, and they'll say, oh, it's a bunch of buzzwords. You tell me what part of that I'm wrong about. Was there a whistleblower that went to the Southern District of New York that said that the Comey's FBI was hiding this information? Yes, there was. Did Comey admit in his book that the reason he reopened the investigation?
Okay, Rob. Everything will be okay. Come on. It's not worth getting your blood pressure up. Chill.
I'm just trying to.
Pressure's always high. I'm a fat.
Hold on. I'm just trying to.
want you to
stuff that you're saying, Rob. Could you just say like the Anthony guy's name? I'm just trying to like Google him so I can keep up with this conversation.
You want me to say the word wiener? Is that what you want?
Breathe.
Do you want me to say it like breathly? Wiener. Is that better for you? Yeah, Anthony Weiner. Yeah, if you look at the IG report, Comey admitted, I'll finish the story. So Comey admitted that he was afraid that if it came out that they had this laptop with this information and didn't go over it until after the election, he clearly thought Hillary was going to win and was worried that then Republicans would say, see, Comey hid this evidence until after the election. So instead, what he did was quickly announce we're reopening it. Then they went through hundreds of thousands of emails in 3 days and said, okay, nothing to see here and close.
Here's the problem. Here's the problem with this. But the FBI had for decades has had a practice of like trying to not interfere with the elections, right? And by that, like not taking investigative actions, right? So this would have been counted as an investigative action that might swing the election. And so they were going to wait. That was their standard practice.
You don't even know what Brian Case, did you read the IG report? Then don't talk about it. You don't know what you're talking about.
Hold on. The statement that I just said, was that incorrect? Was that incorrect?
Yes. And let me
it wasn't incorrect.
Yes,
because I'm looking. Sorry.
You're absolutely wrong. It is incorrect. So what the IG found was, one, this wasn't the opening of a new investigation. It was sitting on evidence that they already were supposed to be looking at. And second, it went counter to all of their reason. Listen, they were doing things like giving immunity to everyone connected to Hillary Clinton.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't know why you're bringing that up because it doesn't fucking matter to my point. It doesn't fucking
Hillary
matter to my
did
point.
nothing wrong. Hillary was innocent.
It doesn't actually matter to my point. The
DOJ,
yeah.
Hillary did nothing wrong.
Whoa, guys. I just want you to know that we have come to the bottom of round 2. We're not going to be voting on who you want to keep, not kick in this heated 1v400 exchange. Rob, the lone Spartan.
Rob, you're my champion, okay? Holy fucking shit.
You gotta support him. You gotta support him.
Listen. I don't trust you niggas. Because the last time I trusted one of you niggas, you kicked off the only other guy that was on Rob's side. So this is what we're going to do. You still get to decide who you kick and who you keep. But me and Lil Steve also get a vote. How about that?
Wait, really?
Yes, we absolutely get a vote. I do not trust these people.
So it's our fault that you forgot to get more right-wing guests.
No, I got suspended. So all the right-wing people in my DMs. So unlucky I can't DM them because I got suspended a few hours before the show.
That's
so
sucks.
You actually have a valid excuse. That's crazy.
I cut your content.
If you had had them booked, the day before, you would have been good.
No, I had them way before. It's just
you get their Discords like I told you to.
Like I told you to. Whoa, can't stop. Relax, okay? You're not my handler.
So anyway, what I was saying was absolutely correct. The FBI for years has had this practice of not trying to interfere with the elections. So this would have been an action, revealing this to the public, this information to the public, that would have had an effect on the election, which in fact is your entire point, that these things would have had an effect. And so the FBI was trying to avoid that. Now, you can argue whether that policy is right or wrong, but that policy certainly did exist. It's exactly what
that policy existed in the past. So, but what you're ignoring is this wasn't the reopening of a new investigation.
I didn't say it was. I didn't say it wasn't.
Listen, this is what we're talking about.
It doesn't matter.
You don't know what you're so out of your depth. You have no idea.
No, I'm not on my depth. I actually I have been following this. Don't bullshit me. So and it's a simple statement. And I don't know. You don't even have to fight this. You don't even have to fight this to make your point, right? You don't have to fight this to make your point. So I'm just saying that they had pause. Now you can argue about should have been released to the public. You can argue about its effect on the public. That's fair game. But the fact of the matter is they did have a policy.
That you're wrong, right? So what you're suggesting is this: there's an open investigation looking into Hillary Clinton's emails and her server, and there's tons of servers that it went to, or tons of emails that it went to. But this one particular one, even though we're looking at hundreds of other emails that it went to, but this one particular one, Anthony Weiner, they couldn't look at that because they have a policy not to interfere in elections.
I didn't say that. That's not what I said. That's why you're not even listening.
You fucking
They
idiot.
could have done all that. I talked about announcing it to the public. Specifically what I said there. But you literally can't even hear it, right? You're so up your own ass. You can't even hear what I just said. I said specifically announcing it to the public. That would have been the problem, right? And so they would announce it, but they could have taken all those investigative actions, right? And I would agree with you. I would agree with you if they had taken.
Whoa! 2 minutes. We're at the end of our poll. Don't apologize. You're doing great.
Nobody apologized. The fuck?
Wait, I thought he said sorry. Okay, wait. Before we announce what?
Wait. Before we announce who gets to decide, who we kick and keep, guys. Again, reminder: we got a sponsor. So pin the goddamn fucking link in chat. You know the code. ShowGG7111. Go ahead.
In this round.
Also, wrong overlay, by the way. Just real quick. Wrong overlay. Because I did send you a more updated one, but this is
slowly working on rolling them out. But the updated one is going to be very hard. You don't understand how hard it is to set all this shit up. Okay, so fuck you.
Also, that's why I sent it to you like 4 days ago.
Rob Noor, yeah, and then you spent a ton of other messages. Okay, I don't keep track of my shit like that. Pin messages, you cuck. Rob Noor, you've won this round.
My man.
Oh.
You know what? I don't get a vote. My vote is your vote. Go ahead.
Rob, you get to axe either Lycan or Prime Kai's. Uh-oh.
Well, Lycan, you seem like a decent guy, so I'll ask you, because then I'll spare you getting your ass kicked like the rest of these four are about to get. So.
Wow.
Man, you're a
Rob is going to work up to a 1v5.
You and I was going to destroy you, and you're getting rid of me.
We can do it one-on-one anytime. You pick the topic.
Rob, you said that he was nice, but he was the one holding the sign that said that you're like cock hungry or something like that right over you. You really just gonna let him forget that?
No, I thought it was funny. You can make fun of me too. That's kind of what's going on.
He's a conservative. He likes jokes.
Yeah.
Rob, I believe
Don't
in your
censor
underdog story, Rob. Okay, it's going to be 1v5, then 1v4, then 1v3. I believe in you.
Well, I have to lose the last round, or else the content would be boring. Just you four sitting around agreeing with each other. It'd be fucking stupid.
Ooh.
True.
Oh, it's lefties. We'll find something that's 2% different to fight.
You're right. Someone's pronoun was mislabeled or some shit. I know
Absolutely.
How you roll.
Absolutely.
All right, so that's it for me, right? We done?
Go ahead and shout yourself out, Lycan.
All right,
Lycan
on Twitter, Lycan GTV on Twitter. You all have a great night. Have fun. Happy fighting.
My Lycan.
Okay. Prime. Before I get on to the next question, which is related to what I'm about to ask you now, what are your thoughts on the U.S. dropping the nuke on Japan? Because I heard,
I have a lot to say about this.
You know what? I want us to talk about this because I believe you'll differ from everybody else on this panel, right? If I were to ask Erudite or Shrate or IMI or Rob, they'd probably say, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, you'd probably say that the U.S. was justified with dropping the nuke, correct? Go ahead and say correct or wrong, guys.
Probably.
Yeah, probably.
Depends on which one. First or second.
It absolutely they weren't.
Wait, they're justified in dropping it, or they're not justified?
They're justified in dropping it.
They were.
It was the
right
US?
No, it wasn't. No.
Okay, Prime, go ahead and take us through your thoughts.
They were absolutely not a right to drop those bombs. It was completely unnecessary. There are several options available to them, and they specifically went for the option for mass destruction. Those cities weren't any Hiroshima and Nagasaki weren't important industrial bases. In fact, if they were important industrial bases, they would have been bombed before because we had been doing a bombing campaign across Japan the entire goddamn time. We could have done a test, right? Like if you wanted to show the destructive power, that this is like we have the power of God here in America, right? We could have done another test, like the Trinity test, which was done weeks beforehand. We could have brought representatives from the different nations, including Japan, and saying, "Well, this is what we'll do to you if you fuck with us." It could have been that simple, but we specifically went with the mass murder option. No, that was not necessary at all. And the final point is Japan did not have the ability to prosecute the war. At that point, Japan had lost. They were like encircled. We had a blockade. We had dominance over their skies, which is why we could bomb those other cities previously. Not the nuclear bomb, but like firebombing their other cities. And so they were going to lose. There was no reason to drop those bombs.
Let me ask you this, because I'll admit to not being a good student of history, so anyone could answer this. How long was it between they dropped the bomb on Hiroshima versus Nagasaki? How many hours? How many days?
I think it's
3
like
days?
a day, couple days or so.
No, 3 days. Like
3 days.
3
So
days.
if you're right, and so let's just go with your argument here. If we would have tested the bomb and said, see, look how badass we are, now surrender, and they would have surrendered, why didn't they surrender in those 3 days once Hiroshima went up?
Oh, well, Japan, well, one, the Japanese junta, right, that was in charge, they didn't really give a shit about their population, right? That wasn't like an importance to them. They were an authoritarian government. And also in a very inefficient one. They had meetings about the situation, but it didn't actually change their minds, right? They're like, oh, another city got bombed, right? It was simply that a city got destroyed more efficiently. You dropped one bomb rather than carpet bombing the cities, which we had done previously before. We had already leveled a bunch of cities. So dropping on 2 more or destroying 2 more cities didn't actually make a difference to them.
So why did they surrender after Nagasaki?
They were already defeated.
Well,
yeah,
I'm literally citing the opinion of General Eisenhower, who was the commander of the Allied forces of Europe. I'm not even kidding. Look, like this is literally what Eisenhower said. First, on the basis of my belief that Japan was already defeated and that dropping the bomb was completely unnecessary. And secondly, because I thought that our country should avoid shocking world opinion by use of a weapon whose employment was, I thought, no longer mandatory as a measure to save American lives. It was my belief that Japan was, at the very moment, seeking some way to surrender with a minimum loss of face. Okay, there's literally no need to fucking do it. This is General Eisenhower at the time.
And what Eisenhower said there was absolutely the case. So, like, and you may not know this, but what Japan was looking for was help from Russia, right? Now, Russia and them weren't necessarily friends, but what they were going to use the Russia as a intermediary for negotiations with the rest of the world. What they thing that they didn't want, right? At least the junta, right? What they didn't want was for the emperor to be dethroned or like executed. Right, so that was the thing that we're holding out.
Yeah,
for.
They were willing to surrender. They just wanted a conditional surrender, even though they really weren't in a position militarily to demand that.
We knew that, right? So we had already broken their codes for their international cables, and we saw them like talking to their diplomats in Russia, and this was the thing they were waiting for. And then later on,
holy history lesson. Fuck. Go ahead, keep going, teacher. I'm taking notes. When's the test? Jesus. Quiz. Keep going.
I'm sorry. Like, I was asked a question and I'm answering the question. So I don't know. But like, yeah. And anyway, later on, when we did give them that insurance, we did some a letter specifically from, I think it was our Secretary of State. I could be wrong about that. But we did send them a letter, obliquely letting them know that the emperor wasn't going to get executed or anything like that. Then they surrendered.
So
wait, fuck, hold on. I'm sorry. That's just real quick. Hold on, just super quick. This is my second only one, okay? First of all, good job, Kai. You're correct on almost everything, but I'll give you a couple things that I think we should all know, okay? Just a quick thing. Hiroshima and Nagasaki were important military targets. They weren't just civilian population. It's not true. Nagasaki was an incredibly important port city, and I'm pretty sure Hiroshima had, like, army communication stuff, and there was stuff being manufactured in both cities as well, number one. Second thing is, Kai, you were pretty correct, but you something you kind of missed is you were right that Japan was looking for the Soviet Union to mediate their disagreement. 2 days after the first bomb, the Soviet Union betrayed their pact on Japan and declared war. That was a huge factor in why I don't even know if they gave a fuck about the atomic bomb. So yeah, just as a little.
I didn't get a chance to mention that. No, but like, yes, you're right. There was an invasion, and it's not. Sorry, I'll amend my statement. It's not that they didn't have like a military or industrial facilities in those cities. I'm saying that the most important cities were already taken care of. It wasn't necessary for us to win this war by dropping those bombs, right? Because that's the argument. Like, oh, these were super important, so they were valuable military targets to hit. They weren't, right? We had already won the war anyway. They could not prosecute that war. They had lost.
But that's sort of irrelevant. Whether or not.
If I could just argue, so I'm going to be super open that like my knowledge on World War II is actually like pretty minimal because I'm not a white guy who just watched World War II documentaries. My understanding though with the first one is that the Japanese approach to war specifically was that when the first bomb was dropped, that there was no no inkling that any surrender was coming up, that they were basically going to fight like to the bitter end, because that was very much like the Japanese mantra under the emperor was like fighting to the bitter end. This is why you had like crazy like Japanese soldiers being found like years later that were still fighting to the bitter end. My understanding, though, this is why I'm not as pro the second one, is that there was some intel that came out that that before the second bombing that they were planning to surrender, and then the second bomb dropped, and that Nagasaki was actually a secondary option. They were planning to bomb an arsenal. So that's my understanding. So I can see arguments for the second, but the first one about being like, well, they were already going to surrender, they had already lost, I don't see. Again, maybe it's my lack of knowledge.
They just wanted a conditional surrender, Kyla.
Yeah, they just wanted a conditional surrender.
And like the logic that you were attacking Rob on earlier is the same logic you're using now, that just because they were going to fight till the bitter end doesn't mean that they were actually in a position to do so. I don't doubt that they would have done it.
And the reason why they were going to fight, the reason why they were going to fight, right? Like what they wanted to do was to draw the Americans into a land invasion. Then they would have done that bitter end fight that you're talking about. But all they were doing was just bombing them and blockading them. And like, then there's nothing they could do because they literally, their navy was gone. Their navy was past tense at that point. So, I get it. I appreciate everything you're saying. I too will admit to being grossly uninformed about this, but I'm just trying to debate to keep it interesting. So just assuming what you're saying is true, there's just things that are popping into my mind, right? So for example, I agree with Erudite. Perhaps what we should do is say, well, was the first bomb legitimate? Let's say what Destiny said is correct, that 2 days after the bombing of Hiroshima, Russia backed out, and that's when Japan realized, well, we're fucked. Did they back out because they saw the bomb? Is that what changed Russia's mind? Oh, no. Russia was going to... Russia had decided on invading beforehand. They were like prepping for that invasion. In fact, they moved up their date of invasion because it was going to be later on. I think August 15th when Japan actually ended up surrendering. So they moved up... they wanted spoils. What they wanted to do was take back territory that they had lost to Japan. So they wanted those spoils. So that's what they...
Guys, we have a wonderful opportunity to attack Rob here on politics, and we're debating history. Come on, what is this question, Quiznos?
Yeah, if you want me to ask, we're going to do another question.
Like, this is the debate on some history, man.
Well, let me just say, I agree with you. I'd like to talk about something, but let me just say this one real quick point, right? Like, there seems to be a philosophical discussion that could be had. Is it worth to kill other lives to save American lives? So if the war would have continued and caused the deaths of 10,000 more U.S. soldiers, was it worth killing 1 million Japanese or something?
It wasn't.
But listen, I understand, but there's a philosophical argument. If we are willing to say protecting American lives was more important, I'm willing to bet. I could be wrong. I'm just taking a stab here. I bet that part of dropping the bomb was these two things. One, because we have it and we want to see how cool it is. And second, to show the rest of the world, fuck you. Right? Okay. And so I think that was probably a lot of it. And the question is, did that change how the Soviet Union acted? Did that change how other potential enemies acted in the next year? Why don't we talk about
that in the abstract rather than with Japan? Because we weren't going to invade. It wasn't going to save lives because we had already blockaded them. So we weren't going to like have that land invasion. And I don't want to spread that disinformation. So instead, if we fight country X, right, and it's going to save like American lives, like, can we drop a bomb and kill a shit ton of people? I'd be willing to have that philosophical debate.
Well, so, I mean, the other thing. Oh, go ahead.
A little bit of history, just so that we're understanding. Now, again, I could be wrong. I'm just reading the stuff. I'm not pretending to be super informed, and I try to be cautious about what I say. What I'm reading off of like a history lecture is between mid-April 1945 and mid-July, Japanese forces inflicted Allied casualties totaling nearly half those suffered in the 3 full years of war in the Pacific, proving that Japan had become even more deadly when faced with defeat. In late July, Japan's militarist government rejected the Allied demand for surrender and put forth the Potsdam Declaration, which threatened the Japanese with the prompt and utter destruction if they refuse. So the idea of like, well, they were already lost. There was like no reason to. Just because we're saying that they were all these things.
Where were those deaths? Where were those deaths?
Most of them are going to be at like things like Pearl Harbor and like military casualties.
No, Pearl Harbor afterwards. You're saying deaths? Yeah. You said like they inflicted casualties. Where did those casualties happen? Because that's important, right?
I'll have to look it up. Like I said, I'm not
exactly right. So if it's like in a direct battle, like in Okinawa, then yeah, I would agree. Like, and that's why I would have said that a land invasion, if our options were that to end this war, it was a land invasion or drop the bombs, then it's different. but that's what wasn't our options at that point, right? Like we had already had that.
Can I ask one more clarifying question? You said that they wanted this conditional surrender, that their emperor. Can you give me the 10-second version of what they wanted?
They wanted their guarantees that they're like the emperor's status.
Japan wanted to avoid an unconditional surrender. They want the condition being that they got to preserve the Japanese emperorship.
Okay. They didn't get that in the end, correct?
No.
Okay,
no,
so the question is,
How can we pit Hunter Biden into this, guys?
The Japanese emperor is still around, like, so they actually did get that conditional surrender. So like they had unconditional surrender on paper, right? But literally we had guarantees.
Prime, stop. Listen, when I fucking speak, stop fucking talking. Thank you very much. Okay. Yeah, I want to address. I'm really important. Listen, generic looking white guy. Listen, generic NPC white guy. If you don't have
generic looking.
shut the fuck up or I'll mute you, asshole. If you don't have the knowledge to contribute to this, topic, I suggest you do the like and stretch, shut the fuck up, sit in the corner, and hope you're not gonna fucking get kicked, right? Thank you very much, Prime. Apologies. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
He is pretty fly, though. You have to give him that.
So they did sign unconditional surrender, but like we had sent them a letter beforehand that implied that the Japanese emperor would not be like executed or anything like that. So they understood that was the case, and then like, okay, we'll surrender. And the Japanese emperor still around, like the role still there, though obviously greatly reduced.
I mean, I just think that like.
Didn't they? Okay, again, now I'm just reading. It sounds like the reason why they said that so again, I could be wrong. I'm not going to have a strong opinion on this. But what I'm reading says that Truman was advised to not have like a land invasion because they were suspecting that the death toll for Americans would be potentially up to 1 million because the Japanese were very, very good at land invasions and it put them at a disadvantage. And so in many ways, again, I think the second bombing, it's like everything I've heard about it doesn't make a ton of sense to me. The first one, though, is a lot more in the muddy gray area where like, I don't know if you can just argue it's obviously false. They should have just obviously gone for other options, especially when you're saying, like, oh, well, of course the Japanese were going to lose. And it's like, that's the point. That's the whole fucking point, is that the Japanese were going to lose. And there were two options: force them to end sooner or fight with them to the bitter end and have tons and tons of casualties.
Hold on. That literally doesn't matter, because this is what you're doing, right? Like you're going you're using the meme that, well, if we had invaded, we would have lost a bunch of lives. I have already agreed to that. I've stated that previously. We would have lost a bunch of lives. That was the plan, in fact. They wanted the invasion of the Japanese. They wanted the government. They wanted the invasion, so they wanted to draw us in, like Afghanistan style, and have us have a bunch of losses. And so to win through a land invasion would have been so costly that they could have gotten us to the negotiating table to have a discussion, to a negotiated surrender. That was the plan, yes. And Truman was rightly told, don't have a land invasion, which is why we weren't going to have a land invasion. We knew what they wanted, right? We had intelligence telling us exactly what they were holding out for, right? Just like our friend Aaron said already, they wanted that negotiated surrender in terms of like keeping the emperor. Once we gave them obliquely that insurance, then they surrendered. So done.
So that's the part of it I don't know. Like, and you could be absolutely right. I don't know what our intelligence that we had then was and what was being told to Truman. But I'll say this: it seems to be contradictory on another part of what you're saying, which is you said earlier that the Japanese junta didn't give a shit about their cities, and we were carpet bombing the shit out of them, and they just didn't give a fuck, right? And so if you're United States and you're looking at it that way, and you're like, well, shit, we keep bombing these cities, and they're dug in. They don't give a fuck. And the only way we could ever end this war is to have a land invasion, but we know if we do that, millions will die, and so instead we're going to do this option of the bomb. So all of that all makes sense to me. This all hinges then on your argument that no, Truman and the United States knew they could have ended it at any minute by just saying, yeah, we'll allow the emperor to stay.
You're fucking wrong. You're just wrong. Okay, unless all of these sources.
What did Wikipedia say?
Or who?
About interrupting or being white?
What? Wait.
Wow! What an explosive question to ask right at the end of the round, where we are now voting to keep, not kick. Good luck, guys. The rounds are heating up.
Who were you saying was wrong, Erudite? Me or Prime?
Prime about Prime and Aaron about this. The surrender shit. The surrender shit. You guys are just fucking wrong
What-
about this.
You said you didn't
what?
have strong opinions
About
on
what?
this or know anything about it, Erudite. I know you have like really hot takes on it.
Yeah, please tell me, what was I wrong about?
So again, what I'm reading is that there were small groups within Japan, in the government specifically, that did want peace, and they were negotiating with the Soviet Union to try to be a mediator between the Soviet Union, the U.S., and Japan to get peace.
Which is what I
However,
said.
the Supreme War Council, which was the major leading group within Japan, had all of the military might behind it and had most of the political might behind it, was not interested in surrender and was not interested in the peace treaty that the own Japanese group created. They were not on board with it.
Hold on. I never. Wait a minute. Is it so?
Do you want to clap back, Aaron?
Yeah. Don't worry. Right, because there was a mix, right? Like that. There were of like the military junta, and I'm just calling them a junta, but I'm not sure maybe if that's the correct term. But of them, there was a split, right? Just like you said, there were pockets that wanted a surrender, and they were just fine if the only thing they had gotten was the emperor staying on top, right? And then there was the more militaristic side, right, that wanted far more concessions. Right, and specifically, also the emperor needs to stay on top.
Whoa!
Right?
However, we might never ever know the answer to that because we have come to the end of our voting for round 3, and we have on top. Who was on top last time?
Rob.
God.
You won a second time in a row.
Oh wow!
However, since you won twice in a row, the sword passes to Erudite, and she must remove the head of either Prime Kai's or Straighterade. Oh no.
I hate picking. I really don't like this rule. Oh fuck. Make your arguments. For why you should stay.
Why we should stay? I'm waiting for a Q to not have a dog shit question, and then we can actually all debate about something interesting instead of us being forced to fucking Google history at the last second. None of us know what we're talking about.
I gotta serve him, you 5 minutes. Congratulations.
Are you telling me questions about?
Yeah.
Wait.
Brian, you better have a very good argument, okay? Otherwise, Aaron taking an L for everyone else.
Shut the fuck up! I'm talking. Anybody who disses the questions, it's an automatic 5. Do it again. It's an automatic kick. You could suck my black balls, all of you. Okay, go ahead, Prime. Make your case to the white woman.
Once again, I have provided them for entertainment. Before it would have, if I had been gone previously, you wouldn't have had this history lesson. And I'm very willing to, when Erudite gets educated on this, right? Because she's not now. But when she gets educated on this, I would love to have one.
Citing Hasagawa exclusively and not knowing anything. Okay, base, go off.
Okay, but yeah, anyway, yeah, no, whatever. I provided entertainment this time, so.
That's true. Look, Prime, you've been on the chopping block a couple of times. Aaron, it's your first time. Aaron also stood up against our tyrannical Somalian overlord.
This is why we get a vote, Lil Steve. She's about
I have
to be recorded.
to cut Prime this time.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
My
Prime,
God.
you've been a victim of retardation. Go ahead and shut yourself out.
It's okay. All right. And look, I'm not streaming, so I don't have anyone to vote for me. So I'm always going to be on the bottom. So that's fine. That's fine. But thank you for having me. Shout out to Karantos for reaching out to me. That's really kind of you. Shout out to Destiny for hosting this, and to all of them. I liked all these people. Nice to meet you, Aaron. Yeah. So my name is Prime Kai, PrimeCayes. You're gonna pronounce it Prime K's. It's okay. It's fine. But you can find me on YouTube. You can find me on Twitch. We do panels and we yell at each other all the goddamn time. It's a lot of fun. Come through, and I have only right opinions. Thank you so much.
There you go. Appreciate you for coming on.
Yep.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Wow, guys. 15 minutes left. Look where we're at.
By the way, Lil Steve, you could unmute her. My hand just can't allow me to click that server mute again. Anyways, guys, congratulations for making this, show kind of entertaining. Rob, I'm talking to you, honestly. Keep yourself safe. You're a diet. Good job. Okay, you're doing your thing. Before we start, again, might I remind you, ladies and gentlemen, HelloFresh, 50% off, okay? Code SHOWGG7111. Mods, please link the goddamn shit in chat and pin it. Thank you very much. Third question time. Recently, there was a congressional hearing about UFOs, or as they're known, UAPs, and aliens. A whistleblower also came out alleging that the US had knowledge of extraterrestrial, I think I said it right, life, aka aliens. Firstly, do you believe aliens are real? Or do you think that the US government is using this news as a smokescreen to hide the shit that's going on within its government so that they don't want people to know about? Basically a psyop. You know what? Let me start off with straight away. You know what I mean? How was that question? Was that question to your liking? Would you like me to rephrase? Would you like me to ask you a different question, or do you have something to contribute?
No, it's top tier question, Karantos. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
I love it.
It really is. Go ahead and answer then.
Obviously, aliens are fucking real. Clearly.
It was a two-part question. Do I need to remind you of the second one?
Please.
Okay, Rob.
I heard them both. I can answer. Yeah, no need to repeat. I thought the question was great. Now, I think the aliens probably exist. I also think that the second part of this question is accurate as well. That anytime they announce something like this, that they seem to have been hesitant or not even want to breathe a word for years and years, you have to question why they might be doing that. So could it be that they're questioning it because they want to cover up through corrupt things that are clearly happening in our government right now to give people something to talk about? That could be. Or if you want to be even more conspiratorial, you could say, well, maybe the aliens have told them you have like 5 years to announce it to prep or something like that. I don't believe that's what's going on. One of the things I thought was interesting in the small bit of the testimony I heard, they kept talking about finding non-human life. But my question is, does that mean that it was their determination it was extraterrestrial? For example, the Soviet Union could put some classified tech out there years ago with monkeys piloting. So if we find the wreckage of that and we say we don't recognize this, it's alien tech to us in the sense we don't know what it is, and there's non-human life. It was very vague in how they worded that. And even when they do disclose things that people are like, oh my God, the government's finally disclosing, it's always going to be done in a way that benefits them. So I'm not saying that it's definite that aliens don't exist and that all this testimony was bullshit, but you should always question the timing of it and what they're withholding when they tell you it.
I think aliens are real. Why not? Do I think that like what we found are like extraterrestrial aliens? Not really. I suspect what happened. I suspect what actually is happening is that the whistleblower is pointing out to like serious treason and like misallocation of funding. He's using like aliens to like pop off a little bit, and that he is genuinely under like concern about like getting like basically popped off. I'm dubious that like only aliens are only choosing America. Maybe because America's a superpower, aliens are like, hot damn, yes. And maybe there's like a whole group colluding, like all the global superpowers are colluding together to like hide aliens broadband. But I suspect what's more happening is that he's a whistleblower of like actual like misallocation of funds within the military and like some serious like whistleblowing there. And he's using the claim of aliens in part to like kind of go off on TikTok and trend, because if his face is out there and then he suddenly dies, that's going to be really fucking sus. That's what I think is probably more likely happening. But like, hell, if it's aliens, I don't know. Nobody cares because our rent is still too expensive. So
in a weird way, that's more conspiratorial than me, which is funny.
After 2 questions about freedom of speech and some World War II history debate, I can appreciate this question, Quiznos. So thank you for bringing this up. I saw the hearing. I think there's some aliens out there. I don't think we've contacted them. I think these witnesses are full of shit. But it was nice to see the Republicans actually act like real members of Congress and hold a serious hearing. Joe Biden only got brought up once, believe it or not. They took a break from showing Hunter Biden's big dong in hearings and decided to play Congress members. So I thought it was really nice. And look, it uplifted whistleblowing in general, kind of giving respect to have people come out and blow the whistle on things. So I thought it was interesting. I'll tell you that.
It's funny to hear a lefty once more celebrate whistleblowers. This is normally the standard they have. If it's a whistleblower that makes Donald Trump or Republicans look bad, then that whistleblower is sacrosanct. We can't even say their name. They're a national hero. If it's whistleblowers from the FBI, IRS, or a litany of other places that are talking about the corruption of the Biden administration or of the establishment FBI and such, then all of a sudden they're alleged whistleblowers. And it's funny he mentions bringing up Biden. Yeah, the dude's the current president. I know you just want to focus on Trump, you and your party the whole time. Yeah, who would have thought people
this
wanna
is so
focus on the
deranged.
fucking
A
president.
whistleblower. This is a whistleblower about the military complex, which both sides of the party, to some degree, would have relationships with, and would
Yep.
also want to be protecting to some degree, according to your conspiracy theory. So the idea that like this whistleblower is cool and based to lefties because there's like some weird political dunk. The reason why people think it's cool is because we're talking about fucking aliens, and it's exciting
not
that
what
maybe
he-
after the invention of AI, maybe we've got aliens too. That's why it's exciting.
Did you listen to what he said? He said it's talking about whistleblowers. He wasn't just saying aliens. He was saying the idea of whistleblowers in general. He's glad that that's being
Well,
brought up.
Rob, the
I listen,
whistleblowers
I know you
that
don't, Erudite. Keep it up.
So
the
there's a
whistleblowers that the go ahead, Erudite. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say there's a really big difference between some of the whistleblowers that lefties roll their eye at. And in fairness, I think lefties roll their eyes at too many whistleblowers on the right that they shouldn't have, right? Like Epstein was real, and we gotta fucking deal with that, right? We have to think about that. And he probably, well, let's be
There's
honest, he didn't kill
whistleblowers that
himself.
the left champions, like Snowden,
Yes,
Chelsea
there
Manning.
are, right? It just tends to be like, we tend to like whistleblowers that have lots of credentials behind their name, which this guy does, right? He's very high up, so he seems more reputable. Versus like if there's whistleblowers that happen to be like they live in their parents' basement and they're crazy and they've like been selling snake oil for 15 years, and now they're talking about how like Hunter Biden's dick is actually personally responsible for the Russian invasion of Ukraine because Russia didn't
Yes.
really want
One.
Hunter Biden's
Can you
dick.
put me a
That's
link to
going to be an
that?
issue, right?
Which one was
Exactly,
that? Was
Erudite.
that Shapley at the IRS, or was that Ziegler? You know, the gay Democrat. Which one was that? That was. Can you
I
point
think
to
it
that?
was
That was a
the
hyperbole. If
arms
you could keep
dealer
up with
that's
that.
on the
That's
run.
hyperbole.
She's probably talking about the arms dealer that's on the run right now.
The
that
business
guy.
contact
That-
of the business contact of Hunter Biden. That guy.
Okay. For the autism,
Yeah.
the Hunter Biden dick joke was a joke. I don't actually
I
think
know.
Hunter Biden's dick is personally responsible for the war in Russia.
I
Nor
got
do I
that
think
it was-
anyone's
I would-
saying
Don't
that.
explain
Nor do
your
I think
joke, it
anyone's
makes it-
saying that.
Don't explain your joke. It makes it less funny. It wasn't
And
that
try
funny
to-
in the first place. But trust
Try
me,
not to
lowers the
autistically
effect.
fight with the joke afterwards. And
No,
ask for
what I was
sources.
fighting with was the straw manning of like, well, we like whistleblowers that are credentialed. My question to you is,
I
which
didn't say
whistleblower?
that. I just didn't say that.
You literally did. You said whistleblowers that have heavy credentials, like this alien guy, we like him. But people that live in their mom's basement and dick joke. And I was asking you, can you name me the whistleblower that's like that? Name me the whistleblower that you think is uncredentialed. That's what I was getting to.
To be honest, I'm not super in on all of your right-wing whistleblowers, so I'm sure that among the
be a
people
left-wing.
that you're going to list,
Oh, I am.
I'm
Give
sure
me
I
a
can find
left-wing
one.
whistleblower. Go ahead. Name me the one you're referring. You're clearly referring to some whistleblowers are just uncredible. I'm just asking you for an
Yeah.
example. Give me an
She's
example.
probably talking about Gall
Okay.
Luft, the guy
Alex
who's
Jones
the
is a much less
not a
credible
whistleblower.
whistleblower. Yes, he is.
How's
and
he a
many-
whistleblower?
Okay, he's a whistleblower in the fact that he is like most dominant for spreading conspiracy theories and talking about them. In fact, he was charged for spreading the conspiracy theory about Sandy Hook. And I would say in general, even though he was right about Epstein, and it's a little weird to think about Alex Jones being right about some of these things, he's also been really fucking wrong about a lot of things that he's been whistleblowing on, like the Sandy Hook case that's getting him.
Tyler, I don't think that's a
Very
whistleblower.
liberal with the word whistleblower here.
Why would Alex
I don't
Jones be a
think that's-
whistleblower? He's just a conspiracy theorist. What are you talking about?
Okay.
Whistleblowers are specific.
No, what do you mean? What is it like? How is Alex Jones a
Wait, hold on,
whistleblower?
Rob. Hold on, Rob. You're right. Argue your point. How's Alex Jones a whistleblower? Go ahead.
Okay, here. I'll give you an example of a basement dwelling instead so we can like
Yes,
get
I'm
off the
Googling.
autism.
Get in Wikipedia. Here we go.
The Discord leaker in the Air Force was literally a basement dweller. It was just some random
Okay,
fuck.
cool, but how is Alex Jones a whistleblower?
Okay, Alex Jones claimed tons of his info came from inside sources.
That doesn't make him a
That's
whistleblower.
not a whistleblower. That just makes he's a conspiracy theorist. That means he asserted something without evidence. It's cool. Like, but
Holy shit!
why would
Because
he be a
his sources,
whistleblower?
Let's say
according to him, his sources came from inside the government. I'm sorry.
And why
are
would
we
you take
actually-
Alex Jones at his word?
Why? Okay. First of all, Aaron, keep up. I'm not taking Matt as word. I think he's a whistleblower in the fact that he's making up conspiracy theories and he tries to portray
Okay,
himself
that's
as a
no,
whistleblower.
exactly.
He
He's
does
making
both
up
of these-
conspiracy theories. He doesn't. You don't need to call him a whistleblower. You can just get rid of that part.
Okay, we're doing word games. Do you agree that Alex Jones is a credible source of information from inside the government? Aaron, do you think that Alex Jones is a good source?
No.
Do you think that he has popularized lots of inside source conspiracies from within the government on his show?
I'm going to answer yes to all these questions that still won't make him a whistleblower. What has he blown the whistle on?
Right, what you're describing, Erudite's a reporter, right? Reporters listen to whistleblowers and then say someone from inside the government, that
Okay,
might be a whistleblower, told me.
I'm going to talk
Let's
about.
say-
I'm going to broaden it to the fact that you know what, lefties in general don't listen to anyone who popularizes ideas that spread all over. So just to be clear, a person who informs on an organization engaged in illicit activity is technically a whistleblower.
No,
by
that's
the
a
definition.
reporter. That would be like
okay.
saying Glenn Greenwald is a whistleblower because he reported on Edward Snowden.
Edward Snowden's a whistleblower.
Edward Snowden is a whistleblower, exactly. But
Wait,
that
hold
wouldn't
on. You guys
anyone
are,
who
I don't know
reports
how
on
you guys
that.
are all missing the critical definition. So a whistleblower is usually somebody that is part of the organization that they're informing
Right.
on. That's what a whistleblower is. So,
Yes.
for instance, Alex Jones is connected to people that are ostensibly whistleblowers, or they don't exist. I'm not sure. But like the whistleblower is a person that comes from an organization and then they report about that organization. Essentially, that's a whistleblower.
And there are legal protections for that legal definition of if you're in the FBI and blow the whistle. Nonetheless, let me white knight and save erudite and go
You
over.
don't need to. Actually, you don't need to. I'm going to use the word. I'm going to use the word. Hold on. I'm going to bypass the autism. I'm going to use the word blah, blah, blee, blah to reference people who popularize ideas that
You don't have
seem
to do
come
that.
from
You just don't have to
inside
call Alex
sources.
Jones a whistleblower.
I don't care. I don't care about your autism.
Take the
I'm going to use the word blah, blah, blee, blah.
Just concede on it. Just concede on that point. He's not a whistleblower.
I literally am. I don't care.
Take the L, you lost that argument. No big deal. It's not big in the grand scheme of
Okay,
things.
hold on. Yes. Hold on.
Okay, keep
Fine.
digging the hole. I'm cool with it.
Hold on. He's not a whistleblower. Can we go back to the actual point
Yes,
of the
that's
conversation?
what we were trying to do. Thank you
Okay.
for admitting that after 5 minutes wasting our time. You talk about this guy. I have a question for you. Were the two IRS whistleblowers credible?
Is that for me? The investigators? Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
You watch
they were.
this shit. How
But
about the two
there's
FBI
another side
three
to their
FBI
story, Rob. There's another
Okay.
side to their story. The U.S. Attorney, David Weiss, he refutes what they say. And you know what? He's the guy who makes the decisions. So they sound like two disgruntled employees.
We saw what Weiss's decision was and his incredible debacle of trying to give immunity to Hunter Biden for things such as FAR violations, where he was clearly influencing at the
No.
behest of foreign governments his father. Yeah,
That judge, the plea
That's what-
deal fell apart because the judge looking out for Hunter to make sure he knew he was pleading guilty to, and he'll be back in a couple weeks. He'll be fine. But
it fell
that's
apart.
between Hunter and the prosecutor, the Trump-appointed U.S. Attorney David Weiss, by the way.
Keep drumming that point, right? It means nothing to me. I don't give a fuck about Trump. You think I'm some sycophant for him? I think he was terrible in the people he appointed, and they were out to get him the whole time. Just like Chuck Schumer said, the FBI would find 6 ways of Sunday of getting back at him.
Here we go.
For someone who watches C-SPAN constantly on your channel, which by the way I applaud you for, I think it's a niche market and you've cornered that. Good for you, right? But for someone who watches this shit, you know next to fucking nothing.
Oh, I know a lot, Rob.
Really? Okay. Well, if that's the case, right, then let's talk about Weiss. You want to talk about this agreement that they had, the plea agreement? Now, he was asked specifically by the judge, can you think of a plea agreement that has ever occurred like this? And what was his answer?
It's the president's son. Of course, it's a unique situation, Rob.
So there is a unique standard when it comes to Hunter Biden.
There's always going to be when it's the president's son or something like this. Yeah.
No, then let
and
me
you know
ask
what?
you,
They're over prosecuting him, Rob. They're over prosecuting.
Do you think he committed
FAR? Sorry for Hunter Biden.
Let me keep it to the. Do you think that the alien stories covering up for the fact that he committed FAR violations?
The alien stories covering up? What do
I was
you mean?
just trying to link it. Do you think that Hunter Biden committed FAR violations?
That'll be up to David Weiss to commit. The only thing Hunter Biden is guilty of is selling the illusion of access. That's it. And that's what Archer confirmed as well. Devin Archer on Monday.
You haven't even seen his transcript. So we know that he issued. I've had this debate with Destiny 3 or 4 times. His excuse and many people's excuse of why the quid pro quo of Joe Biden forcing a prosecutor to be fired that was looking into his son's company was that actually that
no quid pro
wasn't
quo
investigating. If it's true that
Devin Archer said it was to their advantage to keep that prosecutor. But let me get everybody involved here. The reason why we like this whistleblower for the aliens is because it's actually a real whistleblower, unlike what your side has been bringing up. That's the strategy right now for Republicans. Let's hype up these whistleblowers. We're going to blow the lid off things.
Going back to the original point, which
exactly,
it's not about fake, it's about credible. No,
which one was not credible? That's my point.
For example, the whistleblower that was on Discord in many ways doesn't seem like a super credible whistleblower, even though it doesn't.
He was credible. The information he released was real. He was just a criminal.
Keep up. The only statement I'm making
Rob,
is that in general, the left tends to be more favorable towards people who have things like credentials behind their name as whistleblowers because they seem more legitimate. I'm not saying that the left doesn't eye roll at whistleblowers who are legitimate. That does happen. I'm saying the reason why certain things get eye rolled isn't this like pernicious secret conspiracy all the time. Sometimes it's just about the things that appeal to different bases.
Also, speaking of lack of credentials, One of you is not going to have the credentials to say that you've gone on to round 5 of Keep or Kick, because we were at the bottom of round 4, and it is time to vote who you want to keep, not kick. Oh,
Let me just
my
say
goodness.
This, as people are voting, if I can say real quick, right? I don't know you very well, Erudite, so let's give you good faith that that's what you do. We can see that people in positions of power on the left, such as Democrat media, the Washington Post, New York Times, Democrat politicians, MSNBC, CNN, they've all treated with contempt these IRS whistleblowers and the FBI whistleblowers. They've called them so-called whistleblowers. So while it may be true that you are just strictly looking at people's credentials, it's clear that there is a double standard when it comes to many of these institutions. If the whistleblower is impugning establishment people like Joe Biden, they look at him skeptically, but if it's impugning Donald Trump, they say that they should be given near religious protection. Anyway, and aliens are based and great and whatever.
Wow. What a statement that Rob has made. Rob, that statement just won you round 4 of Keep or Kick.
I'm a fan, Rob. Honestly, could you sign? Like, I'll send you a shirt. I need it signed. Honestly.
Rob, you got an important decision to make, okay?
Okay.
And you're deciding between your best friend, the Fly Guy, I'm really important, and once again, Straighterade.
Oh my God! This is
let's think on this topic. I'm gonna go with Straighterade to be kicked because I like arguing about this shit. It's fun to pick on IRI because he actually watches this shit and still can't keep up with it. So we'll keep him around for an easy win.
Commiserations, Straighterade, you have been eliminated in round 4 of Kick or Keep, episode 9. Go ahead and shout yourself out.
I'm at Straighterade on everything. I had a good time debating tonight. I don't really know if this is politics, but yeah, I'm gonna go rub my pussy to the leaked photos of Hunter Biden's cock. So have fun, guys.
See, everyone wins with that kick. I did good.
You did. You really did. Oh, holy
every single Coomer has now left the chat, so thank you.
Wow.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the penultimate round. You see, big words. Thank you very much.
Big word.
Big word. For me, honestly, when you know 16 languages, you know, these become big words. Believe it or not. Like anyways, you guys brought it up a little bit, and I want to talk about it a little bit more. The Ukraine situation. And I want to start off with Rob. Let me ask you this. Should the United States be involved in the Ukraine conflict? What are your thoughts?
No, they shouldn't be. The reason that there's a conflict in the first place is because corrupt institutions in the United States have pushed a selfish foreign policy for so many years, and corrupt assholes in Russia have funded a selfish policy for years. And Ukraine, I feel terrible for the people that they've constantly been, since the dissolution of the Soviet Union, they don't have anyone representing them. They got people like Poroshenko that are basically just puppets of the Obama administration. And before that, who'd they have? Yanukovych or whatever, that was just basically a puppet of Russia. What happens is they're just victims of this proxy battle. There's all kinds of shit. I'm not one of these righties that's going to sit here and go, yay, Russia, fuck Putin. I hate it when the United States illegally invades countries, so I'm not going to cheer when Russia does it. But just like Ron Paul said after 9/11, we need to ask ourselves, were there policies that we instituted that made this more likely? Of course there were. We had biolabs that were stationed right in the border of Russia, which they had every right to be pissed about. We invaded Syria, which was their ally. We constantly expanded NATO. We meddled in the elections of Ukraine, whether it been a color revolution, or even if you don't think there's enough evidence for that, it's clear that we supported that winner by basically financing their entire internal investigative units and police forces, and supported people that were critical of Putin and people in Crimea's alliance with Putin. So I think that because the messenger of the United States has lied to us about Libya, lied to us about Syria, lied to us about Afghanistan, they are not the right messenger at this point in time to say we need to do something about sending weapons and being involved in Ukraine. They should be trying to have a peaceful resolution, and that's it. If we would have held them to account for their lies in Iraq, their lies in Afghanistan, Libya, Syria, and all of these places, maybe I would trust their credibility, but they deserve no credibility right now. They are selfish warmongers that should be called out in the hardest possible terms.
Lefties?
Benedict Rob over here. Of course we should be helping out our Ukrainian friends. We have our adversary Russia on their knees right now, hobbled by Ukraine. It's great for the United States of America. Don't have a single soldier on the ground. And this is wonderful. The more that Russia is caught up in this, the less problems they're causing around the world. This has caused China to think twice about messing with Taiwan. I don't even understand. Rob is convinced that they have biolabs where they were developing King Kong or something in Ukraine. It's ridiculous, man. What is wrong with you?
Can you confirm, Rob? Are they working on King Kong?
I cannot confirm they were working on King Kong. What I find interesting is that you had many ways to defend this. Oh, go ahead, Erudite, if you want to talk.
No. I just was noticing the pivot, the dance that we're going to do. Do you want to directly respond to him?
Yeah, that's what I was going to do. I was going to say, he could have said, yeah, we need to be there to save the Ukrainian people. He didn't. He said, it's good we're there because we're crippling Russia and them doing things elsewhere and they're our enemy. Right. We know bloodthirsty fucking maniacs are okay sacrificing the people of Ukraine because it helps them in some other conflict that we could theoretically have with Russia in the future. You fucking monster.
Yeah, fuck Russia. Ukraine's sovereignty is base, but number one priority is to end, to avoid nuclear holocaust. So the way that America is going about supporting Ukraine is totally fine. We're completely allied with Ukraine because we don't like Russia. Fuck Russia. Have you ever thought about why fucking Russia's so big in the first place, right? And so yeah, Ukraine's sovereignty.
A lot of land there.
Just
God made it that way. The volcanoes. Are we going to do a tectonic? Why is it so big? No, geographically.
You think that Russia just happened to do a bunch of peace treaties and over time slowly got access to all this land? The reality is that in general, Russia and the USSR before this has a really long history of being extremely aggressive bullies, constantly taking over their neighbors, taking over their land, and insurrecting serious major issues. So now the USSR isn't the same thing exactly as Russia, but Ukraine has complete right to its sovereignty. It is saying absolutely no to Russia. And the reality is that, yeah, US is going to lie with Ukraine more than this. That's totally fine. And us supporting them the way that we are, which is not by stepping in or anything like that, but sending them militarily like might, is totally based and fine. Go US, go Ukraine.
Let me ask you this. You say Ukraine has a right to their sovereignty. Would you extend that to other countries as well?
Yep.
Does Syria have a right to their sovereignty?
Yep. Are you going to pivot into a whole different conversation?
Well, no, what I'm going to do is
do you want to talk about Ukraine or do you want to talk about Syria?
Did you hear what my opening argument was? That even if there was a reason for intervention, the United States isn't the right actor because of how many times we've intervened illegally. So we're currently intervening illegally in Syria. We're violating Syria's sovereignty, which happens to be the ally of Russia. So yes. Do you think simultaneously we should support illegally invading Syria's sovereignty, but we have a moral high ground to say, but we can protect Ukraine's sovereignty?
Yes, absolutely. I do think that we have complete justification in going in Ukraine and protecting it in part and because of the way that we're going about supporting Ukraine. And the fact that in the case of Middle Eastern countries, there's an entirely different history going on there. We need to be really careful to not conflate, for example, Syria with Ukraine.
Would Russia, since Syria has a right to their sovereignty, would Russia be within their right to arm Syria with serious weapons like cluster bombs to attack U.S. interests?
I'm sorry, wasn't Russia literally involved in helping? Russia was literally flying jets to do airstrikes into Syria. What kind of question is this? Also, the U.S. has not invaded Syria. There's no U.S. troops on the ground. I'm sorry, I won't interject anymore.
No, the U.S. has invaded. In fact,
Rob, what message would this send to China for us to back off at this point? Don't you think that's a terrible message to send to China?
Sure, I promise I'll answer that, but let me go back to this point that Erudite and Destiny seem to be making. Thanks for trying to help her. At least we could have an intelligent conversation. What happens is we have invaded their sovereignty. In fact, Assad just came out with a couple other countries just the other day and demanded once more that the United States leave. Now, what the United States military-industrial complex does is this. They say, well, when we have troops in a country against that country's will, it's for a good reason. So that's technically not eroding their sovereignty. The idea that Russia has been bombing places in Syria, that's true. Russia has militaristically helped Syria, but not against U.S. troops, right? If we had evidence, at least to my knowledge, if we had evidence, for example, that Russia was giving cluster bombs to Assad and then Assad was dropping cluster bombs on U.S. troops, I'm pretty sure every United States citizen, myself included, would be furious about that. The Democrats would be furious. The Republicans would be furious.
So literally, the Wagner Group is literally attacking U.S. troops on the ground. Why do you think we fucking nuked them out of existence when they tried to, move on U.S. special forces in Syria? You're just wrong. Of course this happened. Yeah, what do you mean?
You're the host.
I'm sorry. Okay,
it's already a 1v2. Don't make it a 1v3. The fuck?
I was talking to somebody came to my apartment and I was shouting. They came in my apartment. I was saying, "Crazy, shut up." My bad. That was
Strike it from the record. Nobody heard what he said. Go on, Rob.
Again, so then the question is, if you think that the United States is justified in helping Ukraine when they supplied weapons to attack Russia, who invaded sovereignty, then you shouldn't have a problem with Russia doing the same. If that's legitimate for the United States to do, then it should be okay for Russia to defend their ally when
No, stop. This is just a really bad false equivalency. You're acting like the Ukraine situation is just wholly identical to the Syrian situation.
No two situations are wholly.
Not. Yeah, you're correct. And in the case of geopolitics, which I try my best to be very careful about what I speak about because it's fucking complex, Middle Eastern wars and proxy wars and all the Cold War shit that's going on there, plus militarized like terrorist groups that are popping off in the Middle East, is not the same thing as Ukraine versus Russia. And to act like these are the same situations, to act like it's this simple conversation about sovereignty alone, in the case of Ukraine, there's a lot more of a simple distinction of, Ukraine is explicitly about sovereignty. In the case of Syria, you have a lot more complex, complicating factors about what is going to lead to people like moving in or out. And to act like these two things are identical is just silly. It's not the point. Do you want to talk about Ukraine, or do you want to just gish gallop and talk about other shit again?
I'll continue to talk about this if you don't mind. So what you see is people always make these hashtag. Democrats are excellent at this. Hashtag it's different. When we do the same thing we're accusing you of doing and saying it's wrong, it's different because we're morally justified. So she talked about sovereignty earlier. Now she defaults back to, well, it's not just about sovereignty. That sovereignty doesn't matter as much in Syria. Of course, she's right that no two situations are complete.
Hold on. Stop. That is not what I said. I didn't say sovereignty doesn't matter in Syria. I said in the case of Ukraine, it's a lot more of a direct thing about talking about specifically sovereignty. In the case of Syria, there are a whole bunch of other complicating factors.
Why doesn't sovereignty matter? Why doesn't Syria's matter?
Rob, 1 second. What are these different complicated things with Syria that aren't present in Ukraine? Could you go more into it, Eurodite?
Wait,
you could talk, but Rob's not gonna. It's you, yeah.
You're
Rob's
asking for Rob.
No, I'm asking you because you say it's different between Ukraine and Syria. How is it different?
ISIS. Okay, Ukraine doesn't have terrorist regimes that are growing up in them. So there's a really different dynamic going on between the US, ISIS, and Russia in Syria, whereas Ukraine, from my understanding, doesn't have a large group of individuals who are growing up terrorist regimes that are against any specific country or superpower, I should say, like Russia or the US. So that would be one major difference between Syria and Ukraine.
Again,
Rob, can I say... We did not do anything to provoke this. Russia was going to do this no matter what, Rob. So what are we supposed to just let them get in there and destroy the country and then keep going? What do you think we should do? Just stand by and not do anything?
Rob, before you answer, Rob, but wasn't ISIS created in part thanks to US funding? Didn't you indirectly, or some would argue directly, help create ISIS?
Yeah, I would agree that in some ways, America did have some result in causing ISIS, which is again why this is more complicated. Again, though, in the case of Ukraine, we don't even have any of that. We don't have any of this going on. So when we're talking about sovereignty, there's an easier conversation than in the case of Syria, where we have things like ISIS, which yes, America did potentially help create, but also is a very threatening terrorist group that is doing demonstrable harm that is also going to be responded to directly by America.
I want to hear Rob's answer. What should we have done, Rob? Just stand by?
So there's 5 questions directed toward me. I will get to all of them. But first, the idea that there weren't terrorists in Ukraine is not true. They might not have been targeting us, but the literal Nazis in the Azov battalion, we have evidence that they were, as far back as 2014, shelling actual citizens there. There are many people in Crimea that felt that they were brothers with Russia and wanted Russia to be there. That does not justify Russia's invasion, right? It does not. But to say that, well, it's unique. And all of this, by the way, is just, if from your perspective you're okay with the invasion, you will always find excuses. And this isn't in yes, that's exactly
in the case of Syria.
That's exactly what's going on, right? And we're not just looking at this right in a vacuum. We can see the United States has lied about these wars over and over and over again. But this time, trust us, we had to violate Syria's sovereignty. Their sovereignty doesn't matter because they're fighting ISIS. So we have to be there fighting ISIS as well. And also we have to fight Assad while we're there. Trust us. This time it's okay. It's okay. Bullshit. It's the same bullshit that lied us into the Iraq war. This time it's different. It's the same bullshit that lied us into Afghanistan. And actually, Q's exactly right. Real quick. Actually, Q's exactly right when we talk about arming ISIS. Remember, it was considered a conspiracy theory in the 70s when we were arming the Mujahideen in Afghanistan to attack Russia, who later then became the Taliban and Al-Qaeda, which we then said, oh, we have to be there for 20 years to fight that war too. Now that we left, things are actually fucking worse than when we entered. And that's what'll happen in Ukraine too. It's going to be a cesspool after we eventually leave and exploit those
we're not
people.
in.
That's exactly
We're not
what's going to
in.
happen.
No, this is
We're not
ridiculous.
in,
what's
Rob.
happening.
In the case of the Middle East and ISIS, for example, you need to be really careful because you're talking about, for example, an Islamic State with a terrorist group that's popping off within it, which is a very different type of country. It's a different type of governance. It's a different type of militant group than there is in Ukraine. Maybe you could argue Azov, I think that's who you're referencing, might be terroristic, but the idea that these are in any way comparable as countries is ridiculous. ISIS, for example, is just an Islamic State. And they're, according to themselves, a belligerently military state. They're open about the fact that they're a military state. So acting like ISIS is the same and Syria is the same as Ukraine is just wrong to do. All you're trying to do with this is you're trying to capture a couple of people with categories of being like, look, they look kind of similar, therefore we should lump them all together and dismiss US. You want to talk about lying about wars? Russia has lied about wars, about things that they are doing for centuries.
I don't like Russia.
The idea, great. So the
I don't
idea
support
of like,
invasions. Just like
all you're doing right now is saying, well, look, US has done lots of wrong things, and therefore they shouldn't be involved in the Ukrainian war.
That's right.
Which is ridiculous. Even if you have a country that has done maximally wrong ever, if they involve themselves in a war and they do the right thing by that war, that's still a moral action. It's still okay. I'm just going to say,
can I real quick so we don't get bogged down on all the boring fact part, okay? I think broadly speaking, what Rob is arguing is, Rob is saying that as a country, because of past actions, you can lose your moral authority to enact defensive action on behalf of another country. And the question is that true? If Hitler or Nazi Germany were to invade another country to save them from another invading force, would we acknowledge or accept like Nazi Germany's role in that? Or is it possible that a country can lose its moral mandate around the world to enact defensive actions on behalf of another country? That's broadly what Rob's saying. Yeah, go.
And it's not just, Erudite, you just had a chance. So it's not just that. It's also, can we trust what we're being told by these same people that have lied to us over and over? So one, there's a question of the moral authority, but second, for example, we've been told counter things. It depends on who you talk to that's supporting the Ukraine is their big thing right now. I will say Russia's crushed. They don't have a chance. Dylan Burns that's over there told me first, he said, over a year ago, he said, Russia's lost. They don't have a chance. Then I debated him again. He said, well, what I meant by that is they won't be able to actually get to Kiev. And then he said, maybe theoretically they could get to Moldova, but they can't do anything else in NATO.
What are you talking about?
So
they just had a coup in their country. What are you talking about? They had an attempted coup in their country.
Okay, cool.
They have drones and missiles flying in the capital right now, Rob. What are you talking about? They're in a terrible position.
Okay, cool. So then we don't have to send any more money because they're done, right?
No, we're just getting started, baby. This is going really well.
Wait a minute. If they're crushed, if Russia's already lost, why the need to send billions more?
This is just the beginning, man. Imagine having a coup in Moscow, one of our adversaries' capitals. A mutiny is on the brink. This is amazing, man. We should fuel this. We should encourage this. We have the chance to knock one of our adversaries who turned into a paper tiger because of this conflict. We have a chance to knock them down, man. Kick them while they're down hard.
You see the duplicitous argument, and they've been doing this the entire time. They say on one hand, oh, you don't have to worry about your money being sent over there and then these weapons getting in the hands of terrorists or Russians or anything like that. Because trust us, Ukraine's already got this wrapped up. And then they say on the other hand, but please send more money. We have to fight them over there so we don't fight them over here. My God, we'll all be speaking Russian next year. They're full of shit. They don't know what they're talking about. They continue to make these broad predictions. You haven't heard me make any of those predictions. I hope Russia loses fucking tomorrow. That's what I want. But the United States should not be there. We're prolonging the situation because people in the military-industrial complex want that situation prolonged. And it's the people of Ukraine that are suffering because of it.
This is a battle with democracy versus autocracy, buddy. What side are you on? You're sounding like Russia Today Rob right now. What are these Moscow talking points, dude?
It's all you have. Every time we debate on this is why you said last time it was offered to debate, I like to stay in my bubble because you can't handle the facts.
There it is. Rob's going to debate the process because he can't debate the content. This is what you do every time, Rob.
For example,
you like to stay in your hug box. This is UIRI. You can't get out of your echo chamber. I'm here, baby. I'm dancing with you, Rob.
Hold on. Can I ask you a question? Can I ask you a question?
Let me finish this point.
Stop. Rob, finish your point and let your light go.
Very quick. All he has when we talk about the specifics is, that sounds like Russian talking points. This is good versus evil. It's fucking childish. It's a childish way to look at it.
Okay.
That's
I want to be a good little white woman and stop interrupting the men. Okay. So
thank you. About time. Trad life.
Yes, absolutely. Trad life, trad wife. So I'm curious if you don't think if US hadn't intervened and all the other states that also intervened, if we didn't prolong the Ukraine issue, wouldn't it just mean that Russian imperialism would have won in that situation?
No, I don't think so. I think that Russia probably wouldn't have completely taken over Ukraine. I think that what the United States should have done was offer more of a carrot and stick approach and said, listen, we'll give you assurances that we'll remove these biolabs. We'll pull out of places like Syria. We'll give you assurances that Ukraine won't join NATO. In return, we're demanding that you allow the sovereignty of Ukraine. It's interesting. Like, it's kind of sounds similar to what
Wait.
Prime was talking. Go ahead.
If Russia took any of Ukraine, do you actually believe that they would like be willing to negotiate like other peace boundaries? Like, what do you actually think would have happened if we hadn't intervened? You
Well,
just
if we
think
want to
Russia
know
would have
what would
played nice?
happen, we're gonna have to wait on the other end of this next round, guys. We're voting for the 2 finalists. Remember to vote to keep, not kick, as we come into the final round. Good luck, guys.
But yes,
Guys,
that is
carry
what,
on.
that is what I'm saying. For example, Erudite, I could turn the question to you. A country like the United States that invaded Iraq, does that mean that there's never any possible peace negotiation that could ever be made with them because they didn't respect Iraq's boundaries?
I'm not doing a whataboutism. I want to focus on
Right.
specifically Ukraine and American interventionism. Because
Right.
that's
So
the point of the
I'm saying just like we've done throughout
Your
history, many
argument-
times when
wait.
countries have.
Your argument right now is Putin is very trustworthy. If we make a couple concessions with him, it would be completely fine. Russia would step off and everything would be great. And I would argue that the history of Russia suggests that that is absolutely false. There is no way that we can trust Russia to just be like, yeah, we're chill now. We're not going to take over any more countries. Promise. We'll just take a little bit of Ukraine.
So
and
how's
then
it
we'll
end?
be chill.
We bomb them? Nuke them? How's it end? We can never trust Russia because of their history, right? So no matter what, as long as they have a military, they'll inevitably always
Hold on.
invade.
Stop
Right?
doing this. I never said we can never trust Russia because of history. I'm saying your argument is predicated that if we just conceded a little bit, if we hadn't helped Ukraine, they would have been steamrolled a bunch by Russia and lost a bunch of ground. You're saying, yeah, and then Russia would have just backed off because Putin's a good guy. He would have chilled out.
That's not what I said. Show me
That's
one saying
essentially what
Putin was a good
you're
guy.
relying on.
Show me
That's
one.
what you're relying on. You said
I'm not
that
relying
they
on
would
that.
make concessions. You
Not
said
relying-
that.
like-
Hold on.
No, I'm
You
not
said
really
explicitly-
filibuster over it. You get on
Oh,
your high
Howard,
horse when you say I said something that you didn't say. So now allow me to retort. I never said Putin was a good guy. I said the exact opposite. I said that they had agendas, the things that they wanted, and I thought that there would be reasonable carrot and stick approach we could have to just treat Russia like they're orcs, that because of their history, they'll always invade is nonsensical. I'm not saying that Putin's a good guy. I'm saying just like the United States, he would be strategic. And even though if it was possible, they would just take over countries, the United States would do the same. I'm saying that there are ways we could have went about
Hold
this
on.
to spare the people of Ukraine in a better way.
Chill for a second, guys. Are the results of the last poll public?
I can look.
Oh, they're not. Wow, okay. You guys can't see this, but
Okay.
what?
Go ahead. Rig it.
I'm not rigging
Rig
it.
it.
I'm not going to
He's
say
rigging
who's
it for
leading.
content.
First place right now has 450 votes. Second place has 450 votes, and third place has 448 votes. So,
God
guys,
damn, holy
you need to.
That's great.
You guys need to vote right
That's
now
awesome.
because we are. Holy shit, we are
I'm
neck
fucking
and
voting.
neck.
Fuck this shit.
What?
That's dope.
I'm voting. What the fuck?
You
I've never
guys
voted the
need
one.
to
How do you see
vote
this ending, Erudite?
for your finalists, okay?
Sorry? What'd you-
How does this war end? How do you see it ending?
And what happens with China next, Rob? That's the question.
I see Russia backing off. I don't know if Crimea is ever going to be taken back. And I see probably a more neutral country negotiating peace, hopefully within a year. And I don't see any of Ukrainian borders getting pushed in at all. That's what I see.
I think
don't
that
think
the
Ukraine
United
would settle
States
for
should be
that.
leading the peace push. But to answer your question, IRI, which you've been very diligent, under Trump, before the Russia invasion, was the
Wait,
situation
why
in
would
Taiwan.
you say U.S. should lead the? You literally said that U.S. can't be trusted with this, but also U.S. should be leading.
No,
the
I said
peace
they
push?
can't be trusted with invading, but they
Okay.
could be trusted. They could be the face of trying to issue a peace deal. Now, to ask you a question, IRI, was the conflict with Taiwan more likely 3 years ago or now?
It's more likely 3 years ago for
No,
sure.
it's not true at all.
Yes, the world has sent a message to China. If
That's
you even
bullshit.
dare,
We'll
this
see.
is what'll happen to you. You'll
We'll
just
see.
dry
Heads up,
up,
guys.
and you will have your military
see.
I'm
destroyed.
closing this poll in 23 seconds, okay? Because it is so close. I'm just going to close it. This might be decided by like 1 to 2 votes, so I will be closing it.
Fucking vote!
Vote on who you want to vote
That's
for, guys.
awesome.
Good luck.
Close.
Guys, hold on. Quick reminder, by the way. We're not doing like a highest voted person gets to decide who to kick and keep. The fucking bottom, like the third person is gonna get kicked. right?
Bottom
The
bitches
third
out.
person's gonna get absolutely.
One.
So you better vote,
Boom.
vote. Holy shit!
Oh no, I fucked up.
What you mean?
I closed it. But it's closed with the bottom two being tied.
Okay, it comes up to me and you wait. Hold up. DM me who the bottom two are, and we just decide. Actually,
well, I closed it, so now
Rama.
we can see. Not so erudite is in the lead. It's I'm really important. And Rob Noor tied. Actually tied. 689 votes a pop.
I'm not picking.
Well, come on, that's an obvious choice right there.
wait,
You
Come
know
on,
what I'm
you gotta
gonna
keep the
do? You know what I'm
content.
gonna do? I'm
You gotta get
gonna
Rob.
I'm gonna go back.
Don't reopen it. Don't reopen it.
No, I'm gonna do another poll. We're gonna do another poll.
No, that's cringe. That's cringe. Don't
How
do
is it
that.
cringe?
Don't
We
We're
do
gonna
do a
have
poll between-
erudite and I debate.
No. We're gonna have a poll between I'm really important and Rob Noor. That's what we have to do, right?
Well, you gotta keep
Is it?
Rob. Come
Do
on.
we
it's
really
your
need to have-
content.
I don't care. I'm
we
not
have
going to
to
be
do that?
offended either way.
Okay, no. This is what I suggest. Instead of the fucking poll, because they've had their fucking time, put a name in chat, right? DM me a fucking name. I'll DM you a name, and then that's the person that moves on. That's it.
Why? The will of the people.
Fuck the will of the people. We gave them fucking 3 minutes, and they decided on a tie.
Yeah, now we're doing the ranked choice voting, okay? We're very pro-democracy here. Boom, there you go.
People
Erudite
are
and I
retarded.
are not
Let
gonna
me just
fight
say that
over
one.
anything.
I feel like Destiny needs indicted. I feel like he's challenging the process, the electoral process.
True.
Here. You know, I think that recent history has shown us that that's a crime. You know.
No,
That's
listen,
true.
I vote. I will sacrifice myself for the content. I think Erudite and I are gonna just get along for 15 minutes.
Okay, well, if that's what you want to do, I love you. I'm
You
really
are
important.
an imbecile.
Oh.
I
What?
knew that from the beginning. Holy fucking
what?
shit! You couldn't just fucking you had to.
What was
put it
gonna
up in the
happen
chat.
anyways?
I'm just looking at the second poll, and Rob is edging at the second poll, so it's fine. That works.
Yeah, no shit. Okay.
Okay,
I
no
know your
shit.
fucking name is hard to say. Your name's fucking hard to say. Generic NPC white guy. I'm really important. Listen, I appreciate you for coming on. Right, you did well. Go ahead and shout yourself out, buddy.
Thank you, Quiznos. It's been a lot of fun. Destiny, I appreciate the platform. I had a lot of fun. I love fighting with Rob, even though I enjoy being my hug box. Erudite, always a pleasure. I go by I'm Really Important. I talk electoral politics, if you couldn't tell by all the crazy posters behind me. Coming out on Twitch and YouTube. That's where I stream. I'm Really Important. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you for coming on. I'm really important in chat, ladies and gentlemen. Okay.
Wow.
Did he disconnect on his own, or did you like move him?
He disconnected.
Okay, good. People are getting better at this shit. Nice. Okay. Congratulations to our finalists, Not So Erudite and Rob. Noir. I like Noir more than Noor, or however you. It's Noir, right? Did I get it right?
It's like the conjunction and/or for nor or the rice.
Nor.
Yeah, but you can call me whatever.
Rob
I don't give a
Noor.
shit. Yeah.
Okay, true. Then I'll call you baby. Okay, listen. You guys did great. I'm impressed. Rob, you're a fucking titan, buddy. Listen. People told me you gotta reach out to Rob. He's that guy. But you're not that guy. You're that nigga. You are fucking
Thank
great,
you.
honestly. Okay? 10 out of 10.
Finally, someone says it. I've known it all along.
Goddamn right.
Is
Okay.
that the N-word pass though, or is that just?
Oh, he gets it easily. Oh, he gets the N-word
Carantos
pass
doesn't even
easily.
have an N-word pass. Why do you think he can give it out to other people? Okay, let's calm down.
Yeah,
here.
yes, I can.
Ooh,
I mean, listen. Listen. A certain cokehead said, listen, you could say the N-word as long as you can fight. I can't fight, so I can say it. Okay, I'm at home.
Okay.
Question number 5.
My
and
bad.
the
I didn't know he got
final
the N-word
question.
pass from Zerka. My bad. Go ahead.
True. Okay, my black brother. Anyways, question number 5. Do you think that Joseph R. Biden is fit enough to lead the United States of America? If not, do you think that Donald J. Trump has a chance of being reelected, or do you see someone else becoming the United States president come next elections? This time, let's start with Erudite. Go ahead.
This is gonna be like the worst question for me. Do I think that, because I don't follow super closely like specific candidates, do I think Biden is fit to lead? I don't know. I'm gonna be honest. I have a pretty big bias against, in general, really old people leading the government. I think like in general, if you're like over a certain age or below a certain cognitive proficiency, which I know technically they've all passed, I don't know. I just have a hard time with it. In general, I think like the age of most of our leaders, including Trump, is also fucking old, is too high. And I think that there should be like space for like newer leaders. I don't think there's a massive conspiracy by any means. So is Biden better than Trump? Probably. But I'm a little bit black-pilled, I think, on a lot of American politics. Does Donald J. Trump have a chance? Probably. I think probably the biggest issue the left ran into last election with Trump, well, the first one, I suppose, is that we thought there's no chance. So yeah, probably. I think there's a lot of like MAGA stands, but I think DeSantis popping off might create like a rift within the conservative caucus itself and might split the vote. So, see.
I thought you would be a little more,
Sorry,
firm in his stance for the finals here. I'll go hard. I don't give a fuck. No, Joe Biden's not fit to be president. He never was. He wasn't morally anyways, even before he was a dementia-rattled old man. But certainly into this last 2020 campaign, he wasn't fit physically, and he wasn't fit corruptly because of all the corrupt actions that we know that he's been taking. Not just his quid pro quo, but other actions. He's been a disaster as president. He's just a puppet. For fuck's sakes, the Easter Bunny had to tell him where to go on the fucking Easter egg roll. He doesn't know where he's at. He literally won not campaigning the final 3 months of the campaign because he was coddled by social media companies and our mainstream media that pushed him around the edge. And basically people were just voting Orange Man bad, and that's what they were going. Now, Trump deserves some of that shit, don't get me wrong, right? I've criticized Trump probably more effectively than most of the left Orange Man bad people have done so. So I'm not saying that he doesn't deserve criticism, but he clearly is more cognitively with it than Joe Biden, who's constantly having one gaffe after another. I mean, we forget we're saying that he's a moral guy and all this shit. The dude had to be browbeat into recognizing his granddaughter this week. When people criticized him or asked him
Trump
questions,
didn't even recognize his ex-wife.
So what? Who gives a shit? Why don't we do one-on-one?
Maybe
you can stop jumping in his mouth.
Here's where we maybe differ. Okay, here's where we're different. I think Joe Biden's cabinet is a lot of a stronger option than Trump's. I think in general, well, like Biden, I don't have a super strong opinion about either way. I don't really care. I think what really matters is about like the legion behind the individual that is actually like leading the government. And so in the case of Trump, I think a really big issue that I have specifically with him at just the cabinet level is like the high turnover rates, the firing. What we see in Trump, I'm sure maybe you would agree, is kind of this like deranged man baby running around, firing people, getting upset, sharing, literally on record, sharing secrets and stuff. Whereas Biden seems to have a really solid team behind him. So I don't know if it's his choice, probably in large his choice, but behind him, he's got a whole bunch of really solid, very politically like knowledgeable individuals that are helping leading. And I think the cabinet is where it's like really, really matters. I agree that like the Trump is bad thing is cringe, but maybe this is where we'll disagree. I don't know.
Okay, so let me finish my opening real quick. So I think there's a solid chance that Biden won't be the nominee. I think that there's a solid chance that they'll use these controversies of him as an excuse to say, well, he's going out in the sunset. He did great, but Gavin Newsom's going to be the person that takes it. I think that there's a chance that happens. I would put it like a 40% chance that it's Gavin Newsom opposed to Joe Biden. I think there's probably a 98% chance that Trump wins, particularly given these indictments, that he wins the primary. And I would say the chance of Trump or any other Republican winning the election because of the uphill battle that they'll face, maybe 2%. So I think that you're likely to see Biden or Gavin Newsom as the president next time. I think that both are terrible. When it comes to the cabinet, yeah, no doubt Trump appointed bad people, right? But it's because these institutions themselves, it's a shame that they are actually the ones that run the country because almost all of them are unelected as opposed to the elected people like Joe Biden that we elect. And they're absolutely corrupt and they are absolutely exist to maintain that hegemony on power. And they will challenge anyone that they think will speak up against them. Joe Biden's cabinet is, if you just take corruption out of it, if we just look at the economy, they've been a disaster. Foreign policy, we're closer to World War III than any time since the Cuban Missile Crisis. If we look at immigration, we have an immigration crisis that now even Democrat mayors of New York City are saying, my God, this is a problem. Every single metric, it is an absolute abject disaster from the Biden administration. Every single one. He did worse under COVID. That was the thing that we said. He had, under the same amount of time period, he had more people die under COVID than Trump, and he already had the vaccine, which was his big plan to fight COVID, and he was unable to do anything any better than what Trump was able to do. That's not even to get into questions of corruption that we see from members of his cabinet and from himself that they're defending and things like that.
My understanding is that Biden has not actually been super disastrous for the economy at all. Also, there's a really common thing that occurs with like COVID and the economy in general, where we're like just blame like single man elected. When it's like, when it comes to the economy, for example, there's a lot of shit that they can't control and that they can control, right? And so like in the case of COVID, part of the effect for Biden in response to COVID is that he was picking it up after the mantle of Trump, which means that all the policy and all the effects under Trump are now in his hands. Same with the economy.
What did he do differently than Trump under COVID?
I don't want to talk about COVID.
Right.
YouTube.
Because he did nothing different, right? And the truth is, that's
No,
not
that's not why. Hold on, just to be clear, I'm being I just turned my YouTube back on. I just don't want to get into COVID for really boring reasons.
That's fair. Then let's talk about the economy, if you don't mind. We'll pivot to that. You say that the economy is not that bad. Inflation has been crushing. Real wages are down. Inflation was pretty low.
To blame this on Biden like to blame this on just like single strongman is silly, right? I'm sure you'd agree that
but
just lumping it on the president.
You said you like his cabinet, so you're not blaming them?
Because when it comes to the economy, for example, just like saying like inflation's really high, it's like, of course it is. COVID happened. We all expected that. So the moment that you have a president after COVID, yes, inflation is going to be high.
Okay,
and it's
so
upon the Federal Reserve to help somewhat manage and mitigate that. To just blame economy and inflation on the president.
Then let's say so. Then if we're saying that was an act of God, this virus, or an act of China, or Dr. Fauci funding China, whatever. Like if we're to say that, and so no one had control over it, then let's compare Trump's economy without COVID versus anywhere near Biden's. How is that looking?
I'm not saying, okay, so you need to stop doing this thing where I'll make a claim and then you just expanded a whole bunch to other things. First of all, me saying that inflation is not solely responsible isn't saying the cabinet has nothing to do with any economic decision pattern. That's obviously not true. What I'm saying is that you pointed to, isn't inflation really high? And I said, of fucking course it is. COVID just happened. Yes, of course it's high. Inflation is high everywhere as a result of printing money distinctly during COVID. Yes, that's not shocking.
But listen, we're comparing cabinets at this point. You're saying we're not pointing at one guy. We're looking at Trump's cabinet versus Biden's cabinet. So I say economics is one metric. So I'm saying, okay, the cabinet, despite the turnover and all that shit, the economy was humming along under Trump if we're taking COVID out. Well, how's it look under Biden?
I guess, which part of the economy do you want to look at? The economy is going to be super broad thing. Do you want to look at real estate? Do you want to look at employment rates? Like, what do you
I would think that,
for example, employment rates are down, but a large part of that is also because COVID ended, and so lots of people went back to work. So, like, what specific metrics?
I think I mean the overall general health of the economy. Well, you at least say this.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
Like the average person that's trying to buy milk and pay their rent and shit like that, are they doing good? Did they lose their house to the mortgage? Are they unable to afford gasoline? You know, shit like that. You're just talking about
inflation again. You're literally just
It's not just inflation. It's not just inflation.
Everybody is struggling, but relatively speaking, the USA is doing pretty damn well. If you look at costs, for example, compare the US housing market to Canadian housing market. It's not even closely comparable.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this then, because tell me if I'm steel manning you here. You're saying because of COVID, we can't really judge Biden's cabinet's position on the economy because it's been so fucked up. Is that fair?
No.
Okay, then what judgment do you have for them economically?
So I asked you specifically, which part of the economics do you want to get into? And then you said, well, what about this? And I said, and then you said, I think you specifically said, well, is the average person able to buy milk? And I said, now you're just pointing back at
the rent, things like that. You mentioned real estate, so I mentioned a bunch of things that it's not just about. You could say that those are all inflationary pressures that would have influence on that, but also things like wage growth and things like that would also GDP, all of that would factor in as well.
Saying that inflation is Biden and his cabinet's fault would be like saying that COVID is Trump's fault. It's ridiculous. What actually matters is
how. The question is then what part of the economy? Okay, so then we're back to what I said. Is there any part of the economic progress or standard of the United States right now that we could evaluate, or do you say it's hard to evaluate?
That's what I'm asking you. That's what I'm asking you, because you said you made the claim that the economy is super tanked, that it's doing very poor. And I said, well, what metric are you measuring this on? And you said, well, the overall health of the economy.
Right, that's what I said.
Which metric is that? Like GDP? And then you said, can people buy milk? So now we've gone back again.
Let me, since you're unable to answer the question, let me say that. Can you name me one metric, whether it be foreign policy, domestic policy? Give me the metric that you think Biden has outperformed Trump if we're not evaluating COVID.
Okay. If we're not including COVID, which
you said COVID's like an act of God. We don't want to talk about it. They couldn't help that. So other than that.
Okay. You're still, I don't even know how to say that. I'm not saying that COVID was an act of God and we can't talk about it. I don't want to talk about COVID specifically because I don't want to get into COVID conspiracy because I'm on YouTube. Second of all, the effect that COVID had on the economy is occurring during Biden's presidency. But to blame that now on Biden is silly. That's what I am claiming.
Dude, I'm just asking you to tell me what you think Biden did better than Trump.
I asked you explicitly.
It doesn't.
You're making the claim.
You could literally listen, this is what's happening. We're evaluating in
Which
your words.
metric? Which metric do you think that Biden is underperforming on? Which metric? Because you said people
the economy,
can't afford...
foreign policy, immigration.
Which part of the economy? You can't just say the economy. Which part?
My God. So, okay, inflation.
Okay. So why do you think, what policy do you think that Biden has done that has led to greater inflation? And what part of Biden do you think has responded poorly to in response to inflation?
I think that Biden and his party and his cabinet that push for things like lockdowns and push for massive money printing have led to inflationary pressures. That they've continued those policies longer than they should have, which has caused inflation in this country. That's what I think. Now, I turn the question to you, please.
No, stop. Do you think inflation is inherently bad?
I think that at these levels it is. Some small amount of inflation is inevitable and probably a good thing. But the inflation that we've seen.
So what policy would you like to have seen Biden and his cabinet pass to curb the inflation and manage it better?
I think they should have stopped printing money, the M2 money supply. I think that they should have opened up sooner and made sure that they were encouraging and sending the message to people to get out and to have commerce as they had in the past. Now, before you filibuster all the time, I would like to turn this to you. You said that you think that Biden is a net benefit to Trump. I'm literally asking for one fucking area in one policy, in like foreign policy, domestic policy, etc.
Unfortunately, we might
Biden did better.
Never get that answer because we are at the ultimate final poll for our show,
Bada bell,
guys.
ladies and gentlemen.
Oh my gosh.
I can't believe I get blamed for filibustering by Rob Noor so often. It's so frustrating.
Crazy, right? Was that projection or just intelligence? Probably both.
Yeah.
No. I mean, it's a pretty simple question. If I say I prefer Trump to Biden, you'd say why? I'd say X, Y, Z. You can't name one thing.
Okay, we weren't just printing money for shits and gigs. It wasn't just like a fun time where we're like, I love dollars. I love paper so much. God, it smells so good. We weren't like being like, oh, we should have just stopped printing money. Okay, then how else would you have managed, for example, some of the serious issues of cash not being influxed into the economy because of lack of buying and lack of spending power that people had, in large part because of COVID and because of wage losses? What do you want us to do with that?
It wasn't because of COVID. It was because of the reaction to COVID. It's because we intentionally locked down the world economy, which then predictably, as I was saying at the time, would lead to disastrous economic effects. Then the same people, like those in the Biden administration that cheered on those policies of lockdown, said, oh, fuck, we're not going to take blame for that. Instead, we'll say you have to give us more power to now print money. Then they said that won't cause inflation. Then when it did, they said, oh, shit, now you need to give us more power. They constantly
exacerbate the problem. Under Trump. The lockdowns happened under Trump,
that was the worst part of, yep.
We were printing money for COVID support to try to maintain programs and try to create a bit of a bullish market. That's why we were printing money.
I understand why they said it caused inflation. They were wrong. It was not good to do lockdowns and massive money printing. But nonetheless, you still were unable to give one area that you think. Basically, you're just like, well,
I literally listed. I said
thing on this particular issue.
Hold on. I did in the way you did. I said, for example, there's way more jobs under Biden, and there's a lot less people who are unemployed. But we could also argue that's because COVID ended partway through, and so that's a large reason why people went back to work.
Right,
so
and so we agreed.
One metric that we
agreed for two reasons. We agreed for two reasons not to evaluate COVID. One, YouTube terms with service, but secondly, because you said basically, well, it's so crazy that there's nothing really we could have done about it. So we're not evaluating Biden's like, well, the economy's a disaster. That's what you were implying heavily.
No,
we couldn't look at the inflation. That it is what you said. You said that it wasn't. We couldn't evaluate the economic performance because, well, a lot of it's because of COVID.
No, I said when people say things like, well, how did the economy do under Biden? You're doing the thing that everyone fucking does, which is brain dead. And both sides do it, by the way, which is being like, oh, well, the economy inflation went up during Biden, so Biden's bad for the economy, which is a massive... I don't understand the economy very well. And I understand enough of economics to know that there is no way that you can make that statement and in any way be informed on how things like economic movement occurs. Like, that's ridiculous. It's such a ridiculous
both of you, stop, Rob.
Okay.
1 second. Before we announce the winner, I would like to give one more shout out to our wonderful sponsor, HelloFresh, ladies and gentlemen. The link should be pinned in Lil Steve's chat, right? Use code SHOWGG7111, Lil Steve. We're gonna have a long conversation after this fucking show ends. Let me just say that much. How's the poll looking, by the way? You wanna give us a...
The poll is pretty done. Pretty done, so.
I could tell. From the way you said it, I could tell what the fuck just happened. Okay, go ahead.
What do you mean you can
Announce the
tell what
winner,
just
please.
happened? What does that mean?
Do you want me to predict the winner like I did last time?
Oh my god, you're gonna predict
That's
the winner with
basically
2
what I'm
people? Holy shit, how can you do that? You must be
Yeah,
Nostradamus.
it's 50% chance. You know what I mean? Yeah. Dickhead, you get what I'm trying to fucking say, you asshole. Use the gun in the back. Anyways.
On you?
Nice one.
Yeah.
El Riz, ladies and gentlemen, this round has come to an end. You have both made it. There's no losers. Actually, there is one loser, but you still made it to the finals. You did great. Okay. I want some W's in chat for Eurodite and Rob, please. But there can only be one winner, ladies and gentlemen, and that is... Let's Steve, come on. At least give me some drum rolls. What the fuck? Hit the table or some shit. What the fuck you sending email? There we go. The winner of episode 9 of Kick or Keep is... Not So Eurodite!
Wow. You couldn't even like draw it out or make it dramatic?
No. Listen.
You couldn't
we
even
keep it
say my
short and
name
sweet
right.
around here.
You gotta say my name.
It's Eurodite. It's Eurodite, okay? That's how I fucking know it. Congratulations, Rob. Commiserations. Listen, it was 1v1 million the whole way through. You made it to the end, okay? They don't call you a bear for no reason. And no, it's not because you're a homosexual. You are 100% straight, married, hopefully kids, no kids, kids soon. You know what I mean? Life's good. But, Rob, I would like you to take all the time in the world to shout yourself.
Oh my goodness. Well, I could talk for a long time. First off, I'd say 99% straight, you know. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I'm not surprised I lost, but I don't give a shit. It's all for fun anyway. So my name's Rob Norm, a populist conservative. You can find me on like Twitch, Kick. I'm Normal America with Rob Norm on YouTube, so you can check me out there. I love doing these debates. I particularly like the one-on-one debates. I understand that Destiny's left-leaning audience might prefer Erudite because they agree with her politically, and maybe, just maybe she's more appealing to the eyes than me, though. I find that hard to believe. I really do. But I enjoyed it. I had a good time. All I ask for these panels is an opportunity to speak. And despite the fact that I have incredible disagreements with probably the majority of the people that are on these panels, at least I'm given a chance to speak. So I think the moderation's fine. I thought it was good. I enjoyed it. If anyone wants to do any one-on-one debates or anything like that, be happy to do that. I'd be happy to come back on the show again. So thanks for having me. I'm out.
Thanks.
Take care. Thank you for coming on. Yep. Holy shit, what a fucking guy, dude. You're like, congratulations. Okay, you win a massive 100 subs.
Oh, nice. Thank you.
And a host. Wait, are you streaming on Kick right now?
I am, yeah.
Good job. You get a host as well.
There we go. And a host. You get a host and $500.
Do I get this weekly? Do I get this weekly or...
Holy shit, so I fought to keep the 500 and now you want to take my money too? What the fuck? Get out of here, you fucking demon. Wait, shut yourself out before you get the raid and shit. Go ahead.
Well, depending on who you ask, I'm not so erudite or erudite. You can find me anywhere on Kick. Although on Kick, I'm not so erudite 1, so... oh, my mic did that. That's good. Yeah, thank you for having me. I super appreciate it. And also, respect to Rob for being basically alone. I feel a little bad that I cut off his partner right away. So yeah, I think Rob did amazing. So absolute
there we go.
Stallion warrior.
Nice
Pause.
job.
Okay, you're gonna get rated, but for now, trying to have a one-on-one with Liz Steve. So, you know, if you could.
I don't know what you're queuing. Do you want me to leave?
He wants you to get the fuck out.
Okay.
But thanks for joining us. It's been fun.
I thought you were gonna give me a date, Q.
Keep streaming and we'll keep streaming. We'll host you after. Okay?
Stop. Yes.
Bye.
Yes. Okay.
Wow. How you doing today?
Listen, I'm doing great. I'm doing great. I woke up to Kelly Jean, out of all people, DMing me to defend my honor. That's when I knew some fuck shit was happening. If Kelly Jean's looking out for me, then I know some niggas were going crazy. I'm not even gonna ask you who did it. Because the moment I came in there, I said, who the fuck is stalking? Who's stalking shit? Speak up. Nobody spoke up. Literally not a single soul said a word. So, you know what I mean? I'm not even gonna address the fucking clowns that didn't have the fucking balls to speak to me. At least Abba's weird built shape ass could fucking talk shit to me. You know what I mean? So that's neither here nor there. I sent you the link, the banner, the overlays, the intro, the intermission screen. I sent you all of these things 4 to 5 days prior to the show.
True.
Could you tell me why you didn't get to them?
Yeah, so here's my workflow, okay? When I wake up in the morning, I will go through all my emails, I'll go through all my messages, and then I'll look at the end of the conversation, I'll reply with what I need to, then I close it out. Then I'll usually gym or do something else, and then before stream, I'll go through all my messages again, I'll close out what I don't need, and then I'll go through emails, respond to anybody who responded to me in the morning, and then I'll stream. Then after stream, I'll go through my messages accumulated during stream, I'll check and see what's at the end, and then I'll close it out, and then I'll go to sleep, and then I'll do emails or whatever, and then go to sleep the next day. If you send me some shit and you're like, hey, do this or that, and then you send me a whole bunch of other shit, I'm never going to see it. So whatever you want me to do, either put a reminder or put it at the end of the message or pin it or something. Because if you send me like 5 things and then you send me some other messages, I'm just never going to see it or remember it. Because usually when you send it to me, I'm not doing it right then. I'm usually doing it at the end of the day or start of next day or end of day next day or whatever. Yeah.
Okay. So all I heard, and I swear to God, is a bunch of fucking garbage excuses, because when I sent you those things, I let them sit there for a whole fucking day, and you could look at the timestamps. I let them sit there for a whole day. So that included your morning routine, your stream routine, after fucking stream routine. You didn't check them then. All the other messages that came afterwards came a whole day afterwards. That's the board.
Yeah. So what happened on the day that you sent them to me?
What happened? You tell me.
The day that you sent it to me, I was in Chicago, and then that night I was in Dallas, and then the next morning I left out for Miami. So I had 2 different flights that day. I shot 2 shows, and then the next one I was on another flight. And then you sent me messages the next day. You did wait a full day on it, but I was out of town traveling. There was a reason why we weren't doing shows that day, right? And then there were other messages that came after. So once if it's just not there, like I can't go through every message I get from somebody and scroll up. This isn't necessarily your fault, but I'm just saying I can't get through every message I get and then scroll up to see if I missed anything prior. I can't. It's just not. It's too much for me. So. But just pin it or do whatever, and I'll see it.
Okay, first of all, the overlay you used was one that was made by a fan, CTGN. Okay.
Oh yeah, I didn't actually get the overlay from him. He emailed me, and that's where I got it from that email. Why did you send me something different?
Yeah, I sent you something different. My editor made it. Okay, fucking busted his ass to make sure it was out for this week. Relax. Well. Don't give me a hard time. I'm sorry. It's not my fucking fault. Don't go too hard on me. Okay. Anyways, next week you're gonna use them, correct?
Yeah. Send me a message at the end of the day today, and I'll configure it all.
Yeah, no, but are you gonna go to fucking California and then go to Chicago and then go to Omaha and then go to fucking China?
Here's what okay? Here's what I would assume, okay? If you really want me to get something done, email it to me. If you pretty definitely want to get something done, just make sure it's at the bottom of
no, you did not do that. I literally emailed the fucking Kicker Keep email. Like the actual email we share. I emailed it
Hold
to
on,
that one.
Whoa. We don't share that. I have assigned that email to you. I don't log into that email. That's your email to do business out of. I don't use that email.
Why did you give me the email? To look more professional?
Sure, if you email somebody about coming on the show who's a big figure and your keeper kick at Destiny.gg might look better than Corantos@gmail.com. Maybe not.
Yeah, wait, do you think hold on. Do you think these big figures you're talking about actually go through their fucking emails? Not everybody's a little Steve that checks their fucking email. You do know that, right? Most of them reply through Twitter, which I no longer have.
Okay, maybe. Make another Twitter, but usually if you do business out of email, sometimes it's nice to see an official domain that comes from an organization that you might trust rather than like an @Gmail account. Or maybe it doesn't matter. Listen, you do it how you want. I made the email account. It's one of my Google domains. You can use it if you want. You don't have to if you don't want to, okay?
The only time I'd ever use that email is if I'm reaching out to Raid Shadow Legends to get an obscene amount of money to shill that dog shit game. It's a great game, Raid. I love to work with you. Also, should I go in? You know what? Let's go into this. Let's go.
Okay.
Let's go into this. Actually, let's not do it.
Do it.
Did you pick up your kid? Well, no, fuck it. Let's go somewhere else. Did you pick up your kid?
Yeah, from the airport.
Okay. Because you said you were busy Monday, but you streamed Monday. What was supposed to happen then?
I think I streamed. Was yesterday Monday?
I think so. I'm not your time zone. If it's no,
I don't fucking know. Monday. Okay, Sunday I was flying. Oh, so Monday initially, I thought I was gonna have to fly to Omaha. Then I thought I was gonna have to fly from Omaha with Nathan to Florida. But I managed to convince his mom that it was okay for him to go on a flight alone. He's 12 years old. They've got like guides for it. So she agreed to fly him instead. So that meant that I could fly straight from where I was back to Miami. So I was able to stream that day. But I had to pick Nathan up from the airport at like 8:30, and that ended up taking an hour because of dumb shit. So I don't think I would have been free that night, regardless. Unless we started the show like 5 hours early or something. But I only streamed until like I think 7 or 8 o'clock because I had to pick up Nathan from the airport.
Okay, sure. I get it. I get it. Ladies and gentlemen, prepare your W's in chat, and I'm talking to DGG chat over here, okay? My Twitter has been permanently put into read-only mode, okay? Congratulations, your mass reports work, which, by the way, listen, I know you don't encourage this, so I'm not gonna put the blame on you. But you got a lot of fuck niggas in your goddamn community that love to do this mass report shit. I saw you dickheads take credit for it in the fucking subreddit. I saw you dickheads take credit for it.
Wait, did somebody?
Say I might have had... Absolutely. Absolutely.
Wait,
Hey,
they
I might have had
posted a
something to do with
screenshot
the-
showing that you got reported and they got a report.
Yep. It's the one with 200 fucking upvotes. Like, if you were to go to the fucking chat, some niggas are celebrating. They're like, hey, I may or may not have had something to do with this shit getting taken down. Keck W, lol. So let me just say
Wait,
this,
show me.
guys.
Find that. You should find that. I'm curious. If you see it later on, send it to me.
I can send it to you right now. But let me say this. You guys were successful in getting my YouTube channel strike. Which, by the way, a lot of people say...
Wait, what the fuck? How did your
Q-
YouTube channel get striked?
I posted the video of me and you going back and forth, arguing with like the whole Nick thing and how I believe that he won. And literally immediately got hit with a fucking hate speech strike. I went through that entire video a billion times. Literally none of us, neither me or you, were ever fucking talking about anything that was hateful. Every fucking single N-word, aka Nazi, that shit was bleep. All of it was bleep. It got hit with the hate speech, whatever fucking thing. So I don't make money off of my YouTube. To all of you guys that say I make money off my YouTube, I don't. Because you guys hit me with this strike, right? So I don't make money on YouTube. And now you hit the Twitter, you know what I mean? We're gonna come back from it though, no problem. But don't you actually, I think I'm good on Kick. As long as Strain doesn't get too fucking mad. You know, last time I got on his nerves a little bit. So yeah, guys, the fucking Twitter say, it's not the fucking Jews, it's you. Even worse, it's you guys. I wish it was the fucking Jews. What the fuck? You can talk to those people at least. Anyways. I don't know if I'll be able to do next week. I always say this, but I still make time for it because I am going to fly over to Cambodia. Just a heads up. I am going to go there. But what are your thoughts on this panel? Just even talking to you, wake up!
I got so much, bro. Can you even believe this shit? Do you know who? Have they announced who's on the next Valuetainment show? Who they replaced me with?
Who is it?
Let me just say that they have a striking resemblance to the runner-up of our show tonight. That's all I can say. And you won't even be able to guess over that, but you might be able to, based on his last name. But regardless of that, the show tonight, I thought it went okay. I think it went pretty good. I think obviously having like a more diverse set of people, I think, would be good. More
With
politically
the political
diverse
opinions. Yeah. I had. Funny enough, I'll announce this. Action Man. You know Action Man is the guy that signed to this platform with you, like the top. I think he's number 2 on this fucking platform. Weirdly enough, he fucking reached out. He was like, I'd love to be on this. I'm super fucking political, blah, blah, blah. I was like, alright, sure, you could fucking come on. And I had Counterpoints coming on. I had Andrew Wilson, the Crucible guy, coming on. All of these people, which I had, a whole lot of fucking communication on Twitter. Couldn't follow up with them because I got suspended. But it was meant to be like a fucking split. Like 10 people, 5 conservative, aka right-leaning people, 5 leftist. But unfortunately, I got hit, so I couldn't reach out to them. But next time I'll make sure to just fucking take them to my Discord because that's where it works. Also, to the people that are fucking saying make a dedicated kick or keep Twitter. First of all, it was really beneficial for me to have all of those niggas follow me because it helped with what's it called? The optics. When people come to your fucking Twitter and they see followed by bajillion fucking people, yeah, it really fucking helped there, okay? Why the fuck would I cuck myself by making a goddamn fucking kick or keep account when I could have that shit on my account? Like, guys, rule number 1, okay? You're being retarded. Number 2, like I said, it was meant to be like split 5-5, but I couldn't reach the rest. It would have been fucking great. It would have easily been 20k plus viewers, but it is what it is. We tried. By the way, fucking stop blue balling me. Who's the guy who's going on Valuetainment? What's his name?
Why do you assume it's a guy?
Wait, there's no girl that looks like Rob.
That's all I can say.
I'm sorry.
All right. Anything else, or otherwise, I'm shooting him towards our good winner, not so erudite.
Ladies and gentlemen, Oh yeah. Fucking push the sponsor hard the next time.
Oh, I'll just either put it in an email with everything, and then I can have it all set up 100%, or put it at the bottom of our message, and then I won't exit it out at the end of the day until I have it all done. Okay.
Okay. Don't make me I hate calling people. Don't make me fucking call you in the middle of the night. Wait till you like, yo.
You don't have to call me.
Set the shit up, okay?
I do every message every day.
I read the thing on the bottom every day. Yes, sure.
Okay,
sure.
just put it on the bottom.
But by the way, I'll send 5 messages. Just read all the 5 that are at the bottom, okay? That's all I'm saying. Okay. That's about it. Anyways, kick.com/Qorantos, QORANTOS. Ladies and gentlemen, we are live. Thank you very much. Hello, Steve. Talk to you later. All right.
Have fun.
I'm out.
Bye.
Jeebus, fuck. Holy shit. Yes, I'm not lying. Blossom, thank you for the 5 motherfucking gifted, baby. I appreciate it. Holy shit. Now I'm fucking getting blamed. Oh my god, this retard didn't read the fucking chat. This retard, oh my god, how dare you fucking send the message. Whoa, what? Holy shit. These guys make me want to slurp my own BBC. What? There was something else I really wanted to fucking tell him. I forgot. It's not in my mind anymore. You've come a long way from the Logitech mic. Nice shit, man. Hey, I appreciate it. I don't know. This is W immigration fit. You guys like my fit? Hold up, let me show you. I'm wearing underwear, so hopefully it doesn't fall. Hey, hold up, let me check. All right, this is good. This is good. What y'all think?
Here comes the money.
Dollar. Let me see. Aztec with the big 5 gifted, baby. Let's go. Woo! My man. How do I look, boys? I look good? I think I look great. I think... Bro, why is my fucking shit so ashy? Don't worry about it. Man, I'm feeling great, man. I'm feeling blessed. Thank you, boys. Thank you.